Part 11. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 101. I won't call you Shangzhuoyan if I don't kill you. Stop Gu Huiyan. I'm stupid. You said I would stop if you told me to stop. Halfway up the mountain, Gu Huiyan and Shangzhuoyan were chasing each other. What made Shangzhuoyan quite devastated was that instead of catching Gu Huiyan, she made Gu Huiyan jump repeatedly and took the opportunity to rub her face again. Shangzhuoyan was so angry that few people dared to wipe dirty things on her face. Gu Huiyan not only wiped it on her face, but also wiped it twice in a row. If Gu Huiyan does not die, God will not tolerate it. Don't tell me, even though Gu Huiyan fell down once and was as dirty as a Niva, he didn't notice it and didn't care at all. He even wiped it on Shangzhuoyan's face, treating it as fun. He is also missing a great virtue. Ha ha ha. It made some viewers laugh. Even though it was a chase and slapstick, I don't know why it made their mouths turn up. The barrage slowly floated by. Dong Zhou plays with Diao Chan. Do you understand Gu Huiyan's happiness? Android CP rush. Rush. Shangzhuoyan beat this old man to death. In fact, CP doesn't have to be sweet, it just needs to be interesting. In any case, fans only have fun with it, and that kind of joyful enmity is exactly what they like. Hey, hey. The audience was happy to see them running like this, but several follow-ups were unlucky. God knows how difficult it would be for them to carry such a heavy camera and chase Gu Huiyan and Shangzhuoyan in the mountains to shoot. To be honest, these camera teachers now have the intention of killing Gu Huiyan. They are even praying in their hearts, brother, please stop being lazy and just let Shangzhuoyan give him a few beatings. They even had the urge to drop their cameras and run over to help Shangzhuoyan hold Gu Huiyan down and give him a good beating. You two, slow down. Xylin followed them carefully from behind. The mature sister's pretty face was full of worry, fearing that either Gu Huiyan or Shangzhuoyan would fall again. Speaking of which, she also envied these two young men. They walked forward without looking carefully at their feet. Unlike her, she had to make sure that her feet were stable before she dared to move forward. But sometimes, the more careful you are, the more likely things will go wrong. Xylin, who was chasing Gu Huiyan and Shangzhuoyan, suddenly slipped and her whole body fell backwards uncontrollably. Hiss. The mountain road here is relatively smooth, and there are no injuries from the fall, but the mature sister is covering her ankle, showing a somewhat painful expression. My feet are wet. Are you okay, Teacher Xylin? What happened? Quick. Get the medical kit. When Xylin fell, the camera teacher beside her was startled and hurriedly called the staff to get the medical kit. There is no way, she is the national goddess Siren, her body is more precious than gold, if something goes wrong during their show, the agency will not let them off easily. Not only Xylin, but other artists except Gu Huiyan are also like this. Generally, they will carry a medical kit with them when they go out. Some artists even specify that when recruiting staff, they require them to know some basic medical knowledge and know some first aid measures. This is also the reason why 11 Lin and Shangzhuoyan's staff went to the program team to protest as soon as they heard that they were going to follow Gu Huiyan into the mountains. You said Gu Huiyan fell down just now, why did no one care about him? Hee hee. The staff at the scene were eager to throw this old man to death. No, 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 don't. Xylin quickly stood up, straightened her clothes, waved to them and said. I didn't fall anywhere, just my foot slipped, it's nothing. As she spoke, she even spun around in front of the camera. Just a bit of pain occasionally flashes between my eyebrows. What's wrong? At this time, Gu Huiyan and Shangzhuoyan also came after hearing the news. Such a large-scale mobilization made Xylin a little hugged. She gently arranged the scattered hair on her temples and said with a smile. You are making too much fuss. Nothing is wrong. I don't even have much mud on my body. She raised her slender white jade hands and gently patted the soil on her body. Seeing her smiling so easily, the staff gradually relaxed their vigilance. Gu Huiyan wanted to ask again, but... Gu Huiyan. Little Mustang Shang Xuan rushed over and clamped Gu Huiyan's head with her arms. Let me catch you. Just run away again. She was really embarrassed. Her body was relatively clean, but her pretty doll-like face was covered with dirt, and some of it was mixed with the foundation. It wasn't ugly, but it was quite funny. Cough, let go. I can't breathe. Gu Huiyan was buried directly by Shang Xuan's arm at the cross between his chest and arms. At that moment, his world suddenly became dark. When he mentioned this incident later, Gu Huiyan said with a nostalgic look on his face, what if it happened again? That scene shocked many viewers, and they shouted. Gu Huiyan, get out of here. Are you able to stay in that position? Gu Huiyan, I want to get up too, do you think I can get up? If you pass this on, Gu Huiyan won't be able to get up. No one knows how envious everyone is of that position. Everyone wants to say, even if we are beaten to death by Shang Xuan, we still want to covet that moment of darkness, okay? Giggle. Siren, the mature sister, sat watching them fight and couldn't help laughing. Just by moving her ankle occasionally, her smile would fade slightly. While laughing, they had almost collected the fungi. The baskets carried by Ayao and Uncle were almost full, and there were still many in the bamboo baskets. There were fewer Gu Huiyan and Shang Xuan. They were just patronizing and making trouble, but they still had a lot of money combined. It is worth mentioning that the mature sister's island stopped moving much after she fell, so there were relatively few fungi in the basket, only half a basket. It's getting late, the harvest is almost done, and everyone plans to go down the mountain. Shang Xuan didn't walk very fast when she went up the mountain, but she was in a hurry to go down the mountain. She followed Ayao and Uncle and walked very fast. On the other hand, the mature sister's island, who was relatively strong when she came, walked slowly down the mountain because there was nothing to record. Even the camera teacher temporarily went down first, and she was still going down bit by bit. Sister Xylan, your feet. Gu Huiyan walked behind Xylan. It was normal for Xylan to walk, but it was obvious that she always dared not use force on her right foot. It's an old problem. The mature sister found a stone and sat down for a while, then said with a helpless smile. When I was filming before, my ankle sprained my ankle and I had to hold on for the filming. After that, it was always the same. Others only see Xylan's glamour on the screen, and few know about her efforts behind the scenes. Before she became famous, she was actually quite hard-working, especially when filming on the set. She rarely used a body double and almost did all the dangerous moves herself. She was not as good as those famous martial arts actors who didn't have a good bone in their body, but they also had got some injuries. At that time, she was also nicknamed Desperate Sunyang in Hongdian. These feet are not only the cause of her problems during filming, but also the fact that she often wears high heels at various events. She is a red carpet goddess. In Xylan's eyes, this is probably also a kind of occupational disease. She also knew that her feet were often sprained, and they would go away as quickly as they came, and they might be fine in a day or two. She didn't want to trouble others, let alone stir up trouble, so she simply didn't say anything. You can't leave like this. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but frown when he saw this. The mountain road was difficult to walk, and it would be even more difficult to go down the mountain if his feet were sprained. Under Xylan's surprised gaze, Gu Huiyan walked up to her and squatted down with his back to her. Come up, I'll carry you. The mature sister was stunned for a moment, looking at the broad shoulders of her brother squatting in front of her. She suddenly felt a little shy. Speaking of which, except for filming, she was rarely carried on her back. Isn't this bad? She was still a little hesitant. What's this? Gu Huiyan looked at himself, scratched his head, and said helplessly and apologetically. Am I too dirty? Gu Huiyan is a bit self-aware, and the clothes he changed when he came here were clean, but after going into the mountains and playing around with Shang Xuan, it was normal for them to get dirty. No, no, how could it be? Xylin waved her hands quickly, watching Gu Huiyan stand up because she thought she was disgusted with his dirty body. She was a little panicked, took 2 quick steps, squatted down, leaned forward, and lay directly on Gu Huiyan's back. Walk. Gu Huiyan originally thought that Sister Xylin felt dirty on her body, but who knew that Xylin suddenly pounced on her? To be honest, Gu Huiyan had an amazing waist, otherwise Sister Xylin would have been knocked down by whatever she said just now. Anyone with a weak waist will have to be broken by Sister Xylin. Are you okay? Xylin felt her face was a little hot, and she didn't dare to move while lying on Gu Huiyan's back, for fear of crushing Gu Huiyan. It's okay, just kidding. Gu Huiyan adjusted his movements a little, and then directly carried Xylin on his back in one breath. Oh! At the moment when the angle of view rose as Gu Huiyan stood up, Xylin felt the boyfriend power of her young brother for the first time, which made her heart beat a little, and her heartbeat accelerated wildly. That feeling would make her very easy to get addicted. You are so strong. Somehow, she whispered something into Gu Huiyan's ear. She was blowing the wind like this, which made Gu Huiyan feel a little bit hot. You usually exercise regularly. Besides, Sister Xylin, you are not heavy either. These female stars are generally not overweight. Female stars like 11 Lin and Pei Jingxia generally weigh around 80 or 90 pounds. A weight of 100 pounds is considered the shame of female stars. For example, a certain Shang Xuan. It always makes people happy to be praised. Xylin chuckled and said. Very eloquent. Having said that, she did not dare to hold Gu Huiyan tightly with her hands, and still kept a certain distance. What made her feel very comfortable was that Gu Huiyan's hand did not go to her thigh or butt. Instead, he made a fist and let his arm pass under her thigh near the knee joint, hooking. Let's go. Gu Huiyan didn't talk nonsense, and walked down the mountain with Xylin in his arms. Be careful, oh, be careful. What's funny is that Xylin, who is lying on Gu Huiyan's back, always seems to be very careful. Watching Gu Huiyan go down the mountain is like watching a 6D movie. Xylin will remind him every time he makes a slightly bigger move. Gu Huiyan was patient and didn't feel annoyed. He just smiled. It was Xylin who felt that she was redundant, so she said as little as possible. Lying on Gu Huiyan's back, Xylin felt very safe, but the bumps on the road, up and down, made her feel a little shy. At this time, they were pressed tightly against each other. Neither of them were fat. It was definitely a lie to say how comfortable they were. Xylin even felt a little uncomfortable being carried by Gu Huiyan, but it seemed that it was precisely because of this discomfort that she felt uncomfortable. It made her feel very solid and reliable. My brother's boyfriend power is quite high. It wasn't until they met Shang Xuan and the others at the foot of the mountain that Gu Huiyan put Xylin down in order to prevent others from discovering her. Shang Xuan and the staff didn't find any clues. They all rode back in the car. Shang Xuan even chirped that she would cook and fry mushrooms for everyone when they got back. When Gu Huiyan heard this, he was interested and asked, "Can you still cook?" Shang Xuan said that's not the case. Who do you look down on? Gu Huiyan smiled and said that I had seen a video of you cooking on a variety show before, and it was all burnt black. Shang Xuan blushed and clenched her teeth, feeling extremely embarrassed and angry. She yelled, "Gu Huiyan, go to hell!" She gave him a set of small punches in the car, which caused a burst of laughter. Unconsciously, wherever these two are present, everything is filled with laughter. Back in the small courtyard, Gu Huiyan only left half a basket of mushrooms for them to eat, and the rest was given to Ayeo and uncle. It was not easy for the uncle and nephew to collect some mushrooms. They went into the mountains early in the morning and rolled around in mud, so they didn't get much. Moreover, they didn't collect mushrooms every day. The conditions at home don't seem to be very good, especially for Ayeo. Both his parents are working outside. It's not easy for him to live with his younger brother and grandma who are in elementary school. To Gu Huiyan and the others, this fungus was worthless, but to them, selling it would be enough to improve their lives for a long time. Besides, they were just going there to have fun, and the main purpose was to experience it. They didn't have to pay the fare to take them into the mountains, right? Gu Huiyan's move won praise from the audience. Yes, maybe Gu Huiyan is a busy guy and always gets into trouble, but it is undeniable that he really cares about other people's feelings and is quite good at doing things. He can see the difficulty of others. Be able to get close to them and understand them. This is the most valuable thing. At the same time, ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x10. The system gave Gu Huiyan a critical hit. This was a real surprise, and it also gave Gu Huiyan a different understanding of the word down to earth. Shang Zuoyan and Xylin did not object to his approach, but rather looked at this guy with admiration. It is worth mentioning that before going back, Xylin pulled Gu Huiyan and told her not to tell others about her sprained ankle because she didn't want to stir up trouble. If they knew she was injured, my staff, show crew, viewers, fans, etc. would all explode on the spot. In the lighter case, everyone from the production team paid attention to her, but in the more important case, they took her directly to the hospital for filming. Isn't Su Yuntang here? If he knew, then Xylin would really have a headache. Speaking of which, Xylin was also a little helpless. She didn't know since when it became a big deal for a celebrity artist to get injured. Some little fresh hands have to go to the hospital quickly because they are afraid that the wound will heal if they go too late. She once thought that she was not so hypocritical, but she couldn't help but the people around her tried to hold her up. She thought about it, and then she went back and asked her assistant to get some medicine, spray it and rub it, and then everything would be fine. Good. Gu Huiyan said long live Sister Li, but seeing how slowly and carefully Sister Xylin walked, he couldn't help but feel a little unbearable. Do we have any medicine for bruises here? Gu Huiyan ran to the program team and asked. Who fell? The person who answered Gu Huiyan was a camera teacher, one of the people who followed Gu Huiyan and the others into the mountains. Ah, I fell on my arm and it's not very comfortable, Gu Huiyan said. He originally thought of using the excuse that he fell and get some medicine to send to Sister Xylin, but who knows? Ah! After hearing this, the camera teacher couldn't help laughing and spat. Deserved it? Gu Huiyan. Who the hell did I provoke? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 102. The staff gave Gu Huiyan a bottle of wine. The kind that takes a long time to rub with your hands. Gu Huiyan was also depressed. Shouldn't this sprain be plastered? In what era was tumble-down wine a thing? As a result, the staff said that this is a good thing for you. You didn't see how resentful those camera teachers were towards you. Helpless, Gu Huiyan had no choice but to drink and ran to Xylin's room where the female guest lived. Why did this kid go to Xylin's room? Zhang Dan, who happened to come over and stare at the machine, keenly noticed something was wrong, so he ordered the camera to cut to the GoPro in Xylin's room. Hiss. At this time, Xylin slowly returned to the room with great difficulty. Sitting on the tatami by the window on the side of the bed, Xylin took off her shoes and socks, revealing her white feet. It is really embarrassing to say that the feet of many little fairies are jade feet. The feet of most girls have not been specially cared for. But it is no exaggeration to say that my sister's feet are jade feet. Those feet are white and slender, and the instep is very skinny and beautiful. The nails on each toe are very neatly trimmed, without any dead skin or the like. It looks like the feet of a newborn baby. You can see the veins on the skin, and the color is really like precious jade. She is the red carpet goddess Xylin. She never wears high heels when she attends an event. A big name high-heeled shoe she endorsed was even sold out of stock within half a day of its release. Why endorse the world's top high-heeled shoes if your feet don't look good? Only. The ankle of this jade foot is slightly swollen. It's not particularly obvious, nor is there any bruises. It's just that I may have been pretending that nothing was wrong and walked up like a normal person, so I feel a little uncomfortable at the moment. From Xylin's face, it is not difficult to see a somewhat painful expression. What's going on? Is your foot sprained? When the camera showed Xylin, the barrage slowly floated by. Just when the audience was about to explode and curse the program staff for being irresponsible, familiar footsteps suddenly sounded at the door. Quack. Gu Huiyan and Gu Laoliu, who had his own BGM, came up from the stairs. Sister Xylin. At the door, seeing that the door was open, Gu Huiyan didn't rush over and just shouted. I'm here, come in. Xylin was relieved when she heard it was Gu Huiyan. If it were Su Yuntang or someone else, she would really have a headache. Gu Huiyan pushed the door open and gave Xylin the drink from the show crew. The mature sister was deeply moved. Thanks. You're welcome. Gu Huiyan scratched his head, looked at Xylin's exposed feet, and couldn't help but ask. Don't you really need to ask the staff to take a look at your feet? Need not. Siren smiled and said. It'll be fine if you rub it a little and rest. It's an old problem and it's not serious. Oh. Gu Huiyan scratched his head, pointed at the wine and asked. Then can you do this yourself? To be honest, he was a little helpless. MD felt that he shouldn't have said that he had fallen, otherwise the staff would have given him some plaster or something. But the problem was that if he didn't say that he had fallen, other guests would have to resort to force. The mature sister smiled and was about to say that I would just call the assistant to come over and help me do it later, but then I thought about it, isn't Gu Huiyan here? What a great opportunity. Can you do it? The thick and big braid was placed on one side of the shoulder, and the mature sister's eyes flashed with anticipation. I did it for my mother at home before, but I've almost forgotten about it. Gu Huiyan apologized deeply. My staff are not very good at. Xylin showed a troubled expression. She remembered telling Gu Huiyan before that she didn't want many people to know about this. Does that mean you could just come and rub it for me? The implication is as obvious as it gets. Then, let me try. Gu Huiyan didn't hesitate, he smiled helplessly and took the wine. Just don't blame me if I don't do well. Then I'll trouble you. Xylin smiled and slightly stretched out her white and skinny feet. She was quite reserved and did not directly put her feet on Gu Huiyan's legs, but just put them beside him where his hands could touch them. Thump, thump. For some reason, Xylin felt her heart suddenly beat violently. Speaking of it, growing up, except for her father, she has never let anyone of the opposite sex touch her feet. She usually goes to female technicians for maintenance when she goes out, and she has never used men for massage. Girls' feet are probably the most sensitive parts of the body that can be seen when wearing clothes. And at this moment, the audience next door was already in a frenzy. Gu Huiyan, I don't allow you to put your hands on my goddess's feet. Only I can touch that foot. No, I can also drink alcohol. I am a third-generation traditional Chinese medicine practitioner. I am proficient in massage and bone setting. The goddess asked me to do it. Some people are famous for their faces, some are famous for their temperament, and some are famous for their bodies. But our mature sister Siren has made a name for herself with her feet. It seems that she once walked on the red carpet wearing a very thin pair of high heels. She walked very confidently, without looking down at the road or shrinking back. She was full of aura from beginning to end, fully displaying the charm of female confidence. Almost all the media filming at that time were taking pictures of Xylan's feet. That night, her feet were ranked #1 on the hot search lists on many platforms, and foreign media were also reporting on it. After the first episode of Crystal Love Season was aired, when they learned the identities of the 3 female guests, some netizens joked that the female guests in Crystal Love Season have 3 unique skills, namely Pei Jingshi's face, Shang Xueyan's butt, Xylan's feet. Now, Gu Huiyan touched almost all of these 3 things except Pei Jingshi's face. This is so frustrating to the audience and fans. Yes. They also understood that Gu Huiyan was helping Xylan rub her sprained foot because she had a sprained foot, but did you just touch the goddess's foot casually? I'm so envious. In the lens. Gu Huiyan poured some Chihuahua wine into his hands and rubbed it gently until it felt a little warm. Then he turned to look at Sister Xylan's jade foot that was placed next to him. I'm here. I really came. Just come if you come. Xylan was amused by him. She felt why Gu Huiyan was so timid when doing things. Wasn't it just touching his feet? Then if he really touched other places, you would be so nervous that you couldn't speak. Gu Huiyan also felt that he was a little nervous, so he simply stopped thinking and placed his palm directly on 11 Linwei's ankle. If you want to talk about touch, then Gu Huiyan must not have felt anything, it was just a touch of his feet. It would be too exaggerated to exaggerate. But Xylan subconsciously shrank when he touched her feet, which was the same conditioned reflex. Fortunately, she got it under control quickly. I can't help it, my feet are always sensitive, and they haven't been touched by others. At this time, the mature sister Xylan is leaning on the cushion at the edge of the window. She is lying down. Her clothes are pulled tightly to her body by gravity, which vividly outlines her beautiful body curves and her slender feet. Placed next to Gu Huiyan like this, the scene was very shocking. From Xylan's perspective, you can just see Gu Huiyan's careful and serious expression. Puff. This made her laugh, and she said, "Does my posture make it inconvenient for you?" To avoid suspicion, she put her feet aside, with the soles of her feet facing down. The sprained area was her ankle, which made it difficult for Gu Huiyan to rub it. In fact, it was best for her to lie down, but the thought of lying down in front of Gu Huiyan, Xylan felt very ashamed. Well enough. Gu Huiyan said this, but his movements were indeed somewhat hindered. The mature sister hesitated for a moment, a slight blush appeared on her pretty face, then straightened her jade leg, and then placed it directly on Gu Huiyan's leg. Hiss. Then. The barrage almost exploded at that moment. Goddess, what are you doing? How could you put your feet on another man's lap? Ah! Gu Huiyan, you are so virtuous and capable. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but glance at Xylan. I think, it seems more convenient for you. The mature sister's eyes dodge, her chest rises and falls slightly, and she says with a blush. Indeed. Gu Huiyan grinned and didn't take it seriously. He just helped Xylan rub the wine very carefully. To be honest, this action was a bit ambiguous, and Gu Huiyan was better off. He just occasionally caught a glimpse of his sister's feet and felt they were very white and tender. He was curious about how female celebrities took care of their feet. But from Xylan's perspective, putting her feet on the boy's legs and being rubbed by him, the feeling would make her very shy. But at the same time, looking at Gu Huiyan's serious expression, she felt that her brother was quite reliable. Just like that, the two of them didn't speak, and Gu Huiyan silently rubbed Xylan's ankles. Hoo-hoo. The wind was very gentle, blowing gently from the window where they were sitting, and lifted a few strands of hair on the right side of Xylan. When the camera zoomed out, for some reason, this scene made people feel quite romantic. I feel like Sister Xylan and Xiaogu are also a little bit into each other. In the comment area, there was a lot of curses, and I don't know which Jiu suddenly said such a sentence. Then it got out of hand. Ah! Finally someone said it. I've wanted to say it for a long time. Sister Xylan sent heartwarming messages to Gu Huiyan for several days in a row. Okay. Brother and sister, CP. You guys know what I like to do. Maybe it's because Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu's Pei companion takes care of CP is too locked up, and Xylan is tied to Su Yuntang by many fans, so even if some people knock Gu Huiyan and Shang Xuan, no one knocks Gu Huiyan and Xylan. In fact, looking back now, Xylan seems to have always favored Gu Huiyan. Not only were heartwarming messages sent to him many times, but Xylan was also involved in Gu Huiyan's village spirit matters many times. Not to mention anything else, apart from Gu Huiyan, only Xylan ate one of the fried dough sticks this morning. Isn't this enough to explain anything? The sibling relationship between a mature older sister and a naughty younger brother is the favorite among CP fans nowadays. From the fans' point of view, of course they would scold Gu Huiyan for his dirty tricks, but from the point of view of fans, they unexpectedly discovered this pair. It's a bit annoying. My sister even rubbed her feet for her brother. Xiaogu. Seeing her brother's serious and careful look, Xylan hesitated for a moment and called Gu Huiyan. When he looked over, her sister asked. What kind of girls do boys like you usually like? Ah. Gu Huiyan was stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting Xylan to ask such a question. Not to mention Gu Huiyan, the audience also exploded on the spot. Straight ball. Is it popular to hit straight balls now? Sisters, aren't you ready for this? It's just, not talking about you, but, boys like you. It is not difficult to see a bit of embarrassment and shyness on the pretty face of the mature sister. What she said is similar to I have a friend, making a friend out of nothing. Have no idea. Gu Huiyan didn't know whether he was really stupid or pretending to be stupid, so he answered honestly. Actually, I prefer quieter ones. Boys probably like girls who talk less, look cold, and are gentle. Xylan was stunned for a moment when she heard this and thought, why don't you just report Pei Jingshu's ID card? But who knew that Gu Huiyan then said? But my mother said that I should find someone who is lively and cute. He thinks that my personality is a bit boring. If I find two aloof people at home, it will be like having a cold war with me all day long. Pook. The mature sister couldn't help but be amused by him. While laughing, she couldn't help but think to herself, just give Shang Xuan's ID card again. After talking for a long time, there is no her anyway? Xylan hesitated for a moment, and seeing that Gu Huiyan had no intention of continuing, she took the initiative to ask. Then do you like, girls who are older than you? As soon as these words came out, Gu Huiyan didn't have time to react. The barrage next door has exploded on the spot. Okay. Sister Xylan. What are you doing? Ha ha ha, who said it must be Shang Xuan who stole the house? I have completely ignored Xylan, she is indeed my goddess. She has become a blockbuster even if she doesn't sing. Hey, you don't play like this. You can do it, Mr. Gu. The three female guests are all interested in you now. The atmosphere was slightly ambiguous, maybe because Gu Huiyan was holding her ankle, and she would naturally feel intimate after having physical contact, so Seren would be so bold to say such things to him. In fact, Xylan is not a boss, nor is she irrational. She even knows that there is a camera here. Then why would she ask this? Because she knew very well that she didn't have many opportunities. Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu's Pei companion takes care of CP was locked tightly. When Pei Jingshu was around, no one else could interfere with Gu Huiyan. Pei Jingshu is not here for the past few days, so she must take advantage of these few days to find an opportunity. What makes Xylan helpless is that Shang Xuan also cares deeply about Gu Huiyan, but she feels that she has no competitiveness in front of Shang Xuan. Take today as an example. If she hadn't accidentally fallen, Gu Huiyan and Shang Xuan might have become more familiar and intimate while playing around, and she would have been like an outsider. If you don't say what you're thinking and you let others guess, how will others understand? Xylin, a mature sister of this age, has long since lost her mind to engage in slow ambiguity. She is not that kind of young girl, so what's the problem if she says what she wants to say directly? It's not a confession, it's just a secret hint to let him know what she means to him. Gu Huiyan didn't know how to answer for a while. He looked at Sister Xilin's face with very oriental female characteristics and felt that she was interested in him, but he was not sure. The mature sister also looked at Gu Huiyan expectantly. Her pretty, exotic face was slightly flushed, and she was also looking forward to Gu Huiyan's answer. But who knows? At this time, suddenly, Xylin, how are you going to eat the fungi you brought back? Su Yuntang's voice came from the door. But they saw the actor Su, who was well dressed and exuding the charm of a mature man, walking up from the stairs and coming to Xylin's door. When he looked up, he saw Xylin's bare feet stretched out on Gu Huiyan's legs, and Gu Huiyan both hands were placed on Xylin's feet, and the two of them looked at each other. Ambiguous picture. That moment, movie Emperor Su was stunned on the spot. Zhizzy. There were birds chirping outside the window. It was a sunny day. There are grass and trees in the yard, and there is a vibrant green everywhere. The actor Su's faith collapsed on this day. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 103. You should have told me that your ankle was sprained. Siren's room. Su Yuntang called over several staff members, carrying medical kits and various things. One brother even brought 2 steel plates. Those who knew it were that Xylin had a sprained foot, but those who didn't know thought that Xylin's leg was broken. No, really no need, it's not that serious. The mature sister waved her hands repeatedly, with helplessness written all over her exotic face. She didn't tell anyone precisely because she didn't want to stir up trouble. Su Yuntang's doing so made her embarrassed. She also understood that Su Yuntang was afraid that she would be seriously injured. It was better to mobilize troops than to hurt her body, but didn't she know her own body much better than Su Yuntang? She and Su Yuntang are both the same kind of people. They are not pretentious and both are good actors who can get through the mud on the set. However, Su Yuntang wants her to become pretentious because he takes her very seriously. This made her very helpless. Looking at the room full of staff, Xylin was thinking that the thing she least wanted to happen had happened. What makes her most helpless is that Gu Huiyan hasn't answered her question yet. He was obviously about to answer, the answer was almost coming out of his mouth, but at that moment Su Yuntang came in. Well. Xylin sighed and saw Gu Huiyan squeezed into a corner through the gap in the crowd. She didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Taking care of you. At this time, Su Yuntang looked angry. He tried his best to suppress his anger and said to Gu Huiyan. You should have told me that Siren hurt her foot. Do you know that this is very dangerous? He also knew that it was Xylin who asked Gu Huiyan not to say anything. Gu Huiyan had been making contributions in obscurity and it was innocent, but there was an unknown fire in his heart that had nowhere to go. Why was it that Gu Huiyan was the first to know that Xylin was injured instead of him? Why was it that Gu Huiyan was the one who helped Xylin rub her ankles instead of Su Yuntang? How could this kind of secret-related topic be shared by Gu Huiyan and Xylin? If he hadn't come up and bumped into her, wouldn't he have known about it in the end? The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and his crazy jealousy even made the actor Sudu unable to control his words and actions. Don't call him. What made Su Yuntang most angry was that while he was talking to Gu Huiyan, Xylan, who was surrounded by staff behind him, suddenly shouted. I ask Xiao Gu not to talk about it. It has nothing to do with him. Saying. She actually wanted to force herself to sit up. No, no, how could I call him, I? Su Yuntang hurried over to help Xylan, but Xylan shrank back the moment his hand was about to touch her arm, leaving his hand empty. At that moment, Su Yuntang's glass heart had been broken into countless pieces and was crushed again. Oh, I can't stand it anymore. The barrage slowly floated by. Brother Su, if that doesn't work, let's find someone else to lick it. You are such a charming man and you have such a good licking skills. You can get it from anyone, do you understand? You can see whether you like it or not. Can't you see how serious she is when she takes half a step back? Boiling Yang Yang has the energy like you, and even beautiful Yang Yang has given birth to 3 children. Thank you, I'm fine. Xylan stood up gently and thanked Su Yuntang. At this time, Shang Zuoyan and Zhang Shuo were not far away from them. They had also stepped forward to show concern, but none of them were as anxious as Su Yuntang. Xylan smiled at Shang Zuoyan, Zhang Shuo, and Gu Huiyan and said. I'm fine. You can go down and have lunch first. It was noon and lunch was ready. Su Yuntang went upstairs to call them to have lunch. But Sister Xylan, you. Shang Zuoyan had concern written on her face. It's okay. Xylan almost danced another folk dance in front of her. Oh. Shang Zuoyan then took the lead and went downstairs. Zhang Shuo said something polite and then went down. In fact, he just came up to be polite, and it was none of his business if others fell. Upon seeing this, Gu Huiyan shrugged and nodded and went downstairs. With so many people here, he really had nothing to do. He'd better go downstairs and wash his hands first. Hey, Gu Huiyan. When going downstairs, Shang Zuoyan was walking in front. She was chattering while pulling Gu Huiyan. Didn't we walk together? When did Sister Xylan sprain her foot? How come you know that I don't know? And why didn't you tell me? You made me very. She chattered a lot. Sister, which question do you want me to answer first? Gu Huiyan was blinded by the question. Who are you calling eldest sister? Xiao Yema's eyes widened in anger. I. Gu Huiyan wants to say that your focus is not right, so you don't really care about Sister Xylan. Do you know what I just touched on my hand? Gu Huiyan raised his hand. Didn't he just rub Sister Xylan's feet? His hands were full of the smell of alcohol, which was very strong. How could I know? Shang Zuoyan pouted her little mouth, Qianbai twitched slightly and her nostrils shrank. She sniffed the smell, and like a frightened kitten, she immediately moved away from Gu Huiyan, with a look of disgust on her face. Hey, it smells so bad, what does it smell like? If you keep making so much noise, I'll put this hand on your face. Gu Huiyan was such a bad person that before Shang Zuoyan could react, he reached out and tried to touch her face. Ah! Shang Zuoyan was shocked. Today she had a cute braid. If she let her hair down, she might have to cover her face. Ha ha! Gu Huiyan laughed and looked very proud. Gu Huiyan. The angry Shang Zuoyan stretched out her 2 jade hands and pinched a small piece of Gu Huiyan's body with her index fingers and thumbs respectively. Hiss! Gu Huiyan grimaced in pain. Fight with you. He said that he should hold a handful of Shang Zuoyan's doll-like face with the hand that had been smeared with drinking wine and had rubbed Sister Xylan's feet. Ah! Don't come over here, Nizuokai. The little wild horse ran away. You too. The audience was entertained, and they all expressed. You two are so heartless. Gu Huiyan, you are so mean-spirited. Can you hold my Shang Zuoyan's face with that hand? Come and hold my face, I'll give you 100,000 yuan. You're so mean-spirited upstairs. I can't help it, after all, those are the hands that have rubbed my goddess's feet. I suggest you chop it up and auction it off. Anyway, this hand also patted Shang Zuoyan's butt. That makes sense. Many Xiuer in the comment area were making fun of things, but there were also some comments that went above and beyond. My goddess has already done that, is it appropriate for you two to still have trouble here? At this time, they were educated by netizens. Actually, what we're saying is that Xylan wasn't injured anywhere. Besides, if she was injured, would everyone have to look so sad as if they were crying in mourning? Do labor and management watch the show to see that the guest is injured and everyone sympathizes with it? Labor and management watch the show to see the effect, okay. We also sympathize with Siren, but don't engage in moral kidnapping. In fact, viewers watch the show just to have fun. Maybe in the eyes of fans, their family members are just like important people, but in the eyes of many Lu people, they are just some actors who just watch the show and have fun. You said that some of the guests bumped into each other on the show. Yes, we sympathize with them and care about whether their injuries are serious or not, but we are not here to watch the show to see this. Modern life is stressful, and everyone watches programs just to decompress and relax. If you ask me to watch a program, I will be forced to care about this and that. I really can't do it, I'm not that holy. If I can do it, the Lashan giant Buddha should have moved away from me to sit on it. Maybe people are really concerned about Xylan's sprained foot, but that doesn't mean that others can't laugh and laugh when she is injured. If everyone is crying and sad, Xylan will feel a burden, and if everyone is still happy and the show will be effective, she will be more relaxed. Besides, concern is not reflected in a face that looks sad all day long. People nowadays like to talk but not do, those who only talk are always rubbish. The actor Su is really virtuous. Since coming to Crystal Love season, he has taken on the responsibility of a chef with a sense of responsibility. Basically, he cooks every lunch meal. There are still a few stir-fry dishes at noon today, including stir-fried cauliflower, cold beans, flavored eggplant, and beef slices. There are quite a lot of varieties. It is worth mentioning that today at noon there was a dish of bacon bought locally. It was steamed and cut into slices, sprinkled with some sauce. It was red in color and smelled fragrant. It should be pretty good. Oh yes, there is also a bowl of seaweed and egg drop soup, which is 5 vegetables and 1 soup, 3 vegetarian and 2 meat. People say that eating is also very particular. 5 people can't eat 5 dishes, either 4 dishes or 6 dishes. Pei Jingshu is not here, and there are only 5 people today. 3 vegetarian dishes, 2 meat dishes and 1 soup. Isn't this perfect enough? Careful. The mature sister came down from upstairs with the help of the staff. In fact, Su Yuntang wanted to help her, but Xylan politely refused. In fact, Su Yuntang also wanted Xylan not to come down to eat, but to cook something specially for her and bring it upstairs to eat. But Xylan just hates this kind of thing. She didn't really break her leg and couldn't move. There's no problem in going downstairs if she pays a little attention. I don't know if it was a psychological effect, but Xylan felt that her feet felt much better after Gu Huiyan rubbed them for her. Where's Xiaogu? After going downstairs to serve the table, Su Yuntang found that Gu Huiyan was missing and couldn't help but feel strange. He seems to have gone into the room to prepare some food. Shang Zuoyan's eyes gleamed as she stared at the bacon on the table, almost drooling. Fortunately, she could still hear Su Yuntang's questions clearly. Hearing this, everyone looked in the direction of the kitchen. What a coincidence. When they turned around to look over, they happened to see Gu Huiyan holding a kitchen knife and pointing it at the cucumber on the chopping board. Snapped. Just for a moment. Snapped. Here we go again. Crack. 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 After patting it back and forth several times, I broke the cucumber into pieces of different sizes, and then I cut it with a slanting kitchen knife. Clang clang clang. The sound is crisp and sweet. What's going on? When the cameras showed him, the audience went crazy with joy. He's shooting cucumbers. Ha ha ha, this is the first time I see someone filming cucumbers on a show. Let's just say, mixing cucumbers without photographing them is really soulless. Yeah. If you want to eat cucumbers, you have to eat them. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x3. Gu Huiyan heard a system prompt in his mind, and he was not surprised. The guests outside looked at it in a daze. What is he doing? Zhang Shuo had never seen anyone photographing cucumbers. He thought to himself, why is this country bumpkin so embarrassed? People on the internet say he has eyebrows and he's really right. The actor Su Yuntang also had his mouth twitching like crazy. He designed it very well, with 5 dishes, 1 soup, 3 vegetarian dishes and 2 meat dishes. Why does this guy have to prepare another dish? What the hell? Puff. Xylin couldn't help being amused, she said. It's been a long time since I've eaten cucumber. In fact, it is not that rare to photograph cucumbers. If you ask someone at a roadside stall in any city in China to photograph cucumbers, they will serve you a plate. But the crux of the matter is that celebrities like them rarely eat at roadside stalls. It's not that they are noble and look down on roadside stalls, but it's easy for them to attract onlookers when they go there. Being too red is not a good thing either. In this show, the cucumbers used by the guests are definitely not photographed, they are cut directly. After all, if you put the cucumbers on the chopping board to photograph, not only will the juice of the cucumbers splash everywhere, but the sound will also be loud when filming. Doing this in front of the camera unsightly. But obviously, the word elegance has never appeared in Gu Huiyan. Gu Huiyan. The little wild horse Shang Zuoyan swallowed her saliva in dissatisfaction, called Gu Huiyan and said, "Can you hurry up? I'm waiting for you to use your chopsticks. I'm starving." She ate the 2 tea eggs given by Gu Huiyan in the morning, and she wanted to drink the tofu now. When she changed her clothes and went downstairs, she heard that Gu Huiyan and Sister Xylin were going to the mountain to collect mushrooms, so she was taken directly up the mountain. After practicing dancing all morning and climbing a mountain, she ate 2 tea eggs. Shang Zuoyan was so hungry that her chest was touching her back. If this continues, the bears will starve. Right now, you guys eat first, don't worry about me. After Gu Huiyan patted the cucumber, cut it and threw it into a basin, he then ran to the stove. There was an oil pan on the stove, and something seemed to be frying on it. When the camera showed Gu Huiyan something fried in the oil pan, the audience exploded on the spot. Gu Huiyan is actually frying fried dough sticks. To be precise, I refried the uneaten fried dough sticks I bought in the morning. Gu Lalu, you're giving me another humming job. What kind of trick are you doing? Gu Huiyan, too much trouble. I know. I know what he's going to do. He's not going to mix cucumbers. Damn it, my mouth is watering just thinking about that dish. Mom. Where are the leftover fried dough sticks from this morning? Hurry up and mix some cucumber for me. Gu Huiyan bought a lot of fried dough sticks in the morning. Except for Sister Xylin, who ate one, no one else ate them. He bought 2 kilograms, leaving many young and old. Gu Huiyan didn't want everyone to wait for him, mainly because the fried dough sticks didn't taste good after being left out for a long time. He used chopsticks to take out a few fried dough sticks until golden and crispy from the oil pan, controlled the oil a little, and then put them on the chopping board. Cut with a click. Cut them into pieces and throw them into a bowl with cucumbers on the side. Then throw a few peeled garlic cloves into the garlic pounder and pound it. Then, throw the minced garlic, vinegar, and sesame paste into the basin with the sliced cucumbers and fried dough sticks, and it will stir for a while. After tasting it, put it on the plate. From this, after a fierce operation by Gu Huiyan, a classic cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks was ready. When this dish was brought to the table, everyone was stunned. No one expected that Gu Huiyan's fried dough sticks were just like his flip-flops, and they also had extra plots. Group 1 is full, friends please add 2 groups. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 104. Alright. Gu Huiyan brought the cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks to the table, clapped his hands twice, and told Xylin. Sister Xylin, let me make you a dish tonic, try it quickly. As soon as these words came out. Puff. At that time, some netizens couldn't stand it any longer, and commented one after another. Here, tell me what's good about this thing. You said you could stew bone soup, but I already accepted it. What good would cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks do to sprained feet? Gu Huiyan, it's like you wiped Selu out of your mouth. Actor Su had black lines on his forehead. Just now, he said that he would give Xylin some bone soup, old hen soup, or something to replenish her body in the evening, so she could recover quickly. Well, Gu Huiyan turned around and gave her cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks to replenish her body. He was puzzled, what's the point of this thing? By the way, there is a lot of garlic and vinegar in it. I can smell it from a distance. The sesame sauce and acid on the fried dough sticks are mixed together and become sticky. Are you sure it is healthy to eat this? Are you sure it won't taste bad after you take one bite? What left him speechless the most was that even if Gu Huiyan didn't make up for it, he had done it for Xylin first. If he did it again, how could he end up like Gu Huiyan? What the hell? At this moment, the actor Su Yuntang had countless complaints in his heart. Pook. Xylin also smiled. She glanced at her sincere brother and said with a smile. Thank you. Perhaps because Shang Zuoyan couldn't wait any longer, Xylin was the first to use her chopsticks, and the first thing she picked up with her chopsticks was Gu Huiyan's cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks. I put a piece of fried dough sticks and cucumber into my mouth and chewed it gently. Creak, creak, creak. Crunchy. The fried dough sticks are very crispy. There is a lot of garlic and sesame sauce in the dish, but a little less vinegar. When you eat it, the smell of garlic and the aroma of sesame sauce are mixed together in your mouth. Add a little vinegar to purify it, plus the crispness and oiliness of the fried dough sticks themselves, as well as the light and refreshing taste of cucumber. It makes people eat it to the fullest without getting tired of it. Absolutely amazing. You will feel a very strong and overpowering flavor going straight to your taste buds and even your brain. Xylin's eyes lit up. She didn't expect this dish to be unexpectedly delicious. She couldn't help but praise. Tasty. To be honest, Xylin has never eaten this dish before. This dish was originally made by ordinary people who bought fried dough sticks and added them when mixing cucumbers at noon. In the homes of ordinary celebrities and entertainers, there are even leftovers. I won't keep them, let alone buy fried dough sticks, let alone make this dish. Well. The little wild horse Shang Zuoyan on the side originally wanted to eat the steamed bacon dish. If it didn't work out, she would have to eat a piece of beef first. But seeing how delicious Sister Xylin ate, she could hear the crunching sound of the fried dough sticks. Here we are, so. Fascinated, she also secretly took a piece of fried dough sticks and stuffed it into her mouth. Creak, creak, creak. The sound is just as crisp. Oh. It's delicious. She had a look of surprise on her face, and her mouth formed an O shape. She obviously didn't expect this humble food to be so delicious. Is it so delicious? Zhang Shuo didn't believe this evil. He thought to himself, MD, a country bumpkin, made a dish that was made of dirt. Do you two like to eat it so much? It's not like Gu Huiyan didn't mix cucumbers in the past 2 days. He didn't touch them much that day. After all, the stuff contained garlic. An idol like him wouldn't allow the taste of garlic in his mouth. Didn't eat. But today, he couldn't help but feel curious and greedy after hearing how Shang Xuan and Xylin ate the fried dough sticks so crunchily. As a person, just imagine, he really hates the fried dough sticks and thinks it is unhealthy, so he can control his mouth. But when others eat it, it tastes crunchy and delicious just by the sound. Who the hell can tolerate this? So Zhang Shuo also tasted a piece. After one sip, okay, his expression also changed. I probably never thought that such an ordinary fried dough stick could have such a delicious flavor. That's all. Gu Huiyan's cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks was unanimously sought after by the guests, and Gu Huiyan's aesthetics of violence once again deeply washed their brains. Hey, eat slowly and don't grab it. Hey Shang Xuan, you don't just eat fried dough sticks, do you? Gu Huiyan was blind, thinking that he was lucky that he put in more fried dough sticks, otherwise only cucumbers would be left after eating for a while. The fans next door were also stunned. No. You are celebrities and top-notch people. How dare you try to eat a dish like this? Wok, my filter is broken, why don't you, Zhang Shuo? You'll have a bad mouth after eating this. It's unhealthy if you eat too much of it. What they didn't expect was that Zhang Shuo, who hadn't eaten fried dough sticks in the morning, would actually grab the fried dough sticks and eat them. He was the one who told Gu Huiyan about unhealthy and oil. Well, now he's so excited to fight against it. To be honest, Zhang Shuo doesn't want to do this either. But who let this thing go too far? The cucumber stirred fried dough sticks with the flavors of garlic, vinegar, and sesame sauce mixed together are just like the seasonings in gourmet novels. It's so delicious and over the top. Haha. Regarding this scene, some passers-by expressed their understanding. In fact, everyone who has eaten this stuff knows how delicious it is and understands it. If you really eat it, you won't change it even if you give him a thumb. The main focus of our northern cuisine is simple and rough, and you can eat it as much as you want. This thing is addictive. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x3. The simple and crude picture once again rewarded Gu Huiyan with system points. Here we have to admire our best actor Su Yuntang. Everyone is grabbing it, but no one has even tasted it. Only occasionally, my hands shaking when picking up vegetables. That's angry. Originally, he imagined introducing the dishes he cooked at the dinner table, but everyone praised Gu Huiyan's cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks for how delicious it was, and the other dishes became side dishes. He worked hard to prepare a table of dishes, but in the end, the one he was praised for being delicious was Gu Huiyan's cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks. Can your heart not bleed? Gu Huiyan is just like his nemesis. Ahem. Maybe it was because Shang Xuan couldn't stop eating the fried dough sticks mixed with cucumber and chopsticks, her manager's sister Han couldn't stand it anymore and coughed lightly. It's a reminder. She also understood that it was delicious, but it was deep-fried and refried. It was a full-fledged carbohydrate bomb. Not only was it unhealthy for you, it also made you gain weight. Shang Xuan doesn't have acne, but with her weight, she really has a headache. Well. Shang Xuan, who had eaten quite delicious just now, suddenly became frustrated. She reluctantly left the cucumber mixed fried dough sticks with her little mouth pouted. Instead, she picked up 2 pieces of beef and stuffed them into her mouth angrily, chewing them hard. She thinks the worst thing about being a celebrity is that you can't eat what you want. But it's definitely impossible for her to let go of the cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks for this meal. Her big doll-like eyes always glance at her manager, Sister Han, from time to time, thinking that if Sister Han doesn't look at her, I immediately took a piece and stuffed it into my mouth. And what made her a little speechless was, it was easy to catch Sister Han distracted and not looking here. She wanted to pick up a piece of fried dough sticks to eat, but Gu Huiyan turned the turntable and took away the cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks. Gu Huiyan. The angry Shang Zuoyan raised her beautiful hand and patted Gu Huiyan several times. What's wrong? Gu Huiyan still looks innocent. Why did you hit me if it wasn't me? Ha ha ha. The audience was entertained, and I have to say that Shang Zuoyan is really cute. Amidst the laughter, this lunch was also spent happily. After the meal, Su Yuntang followed the staff and helped Xilin go upstairs to rest. Shang Zuoyan, Zhang Shuo, and Gu Huiyan collected the dishes and washed the dishes together. I have to praise Zhang Shuo here. He may not know how to wash dishes, he doesn't like washing dishes, and he may even dislike it, but he is willing to do it and pretends that he is very happy and deserves it. Why? Because people have to create a good hard-working persona in front of the camera. Teacher Xiao Gu. Gu Huiyan had just finished washing the dishes, and before he could sit down and cook for a while, a staff member came over to call him. It means that I have work arrangements in the afternoon and I need to record a song. Zhang Ma made an appointment with a local recording studio. It would be best to record a diao as soon as possible. It can't just be a live version. The platform has urged me several times. If we don't record it, those music tailors on the internet will have to go out of their way to release songs first and claim that they are original. Originally, I only recorded a diao, but wasn't it yesterday that Gu Huiyan's Want to See You became popular again, so I recorded it together this time. When I informed him, the car was already waiting at the entrance of the alley. It's not easy. Regarding this scene, some Gu Huiyan's fans couldn't help but sigh. Our sixth brother also has to go to work. Why does MD feel like I have a baby growing up? Haha, Xiao Gu, we watched the fire coming all the way. To be honest, many fans are still happy for Gu Huiyan. He is the only amateur on this show. Others have staff and are busy with work, but he just acts like a normal person all day long. Because of those village-style behaviors, everyone almost regarded him as a villager. Now he is popular, has a job, and is going to record songs. This is the real cultivation system, okay. I'll go change and be right back. Gu Huiyan responded casually and went upstairs to change clothes. I thought you were going to wear these to record songs. Shang Zuoyan looked at his big pants and flip-flops and laughed. It's not impossible, Gu Huiyan said as he went upstairs. Then what clothes do you want to change? Shang Zuoyan asked. Shang Zuoyan. Gu Huiyan was lying on the guardrail of the stairs on the second floor and asked with a smile. My grandma is over 80 this year. Do you know why people live to such an old age? What do you mean? Shang Zuoyan has not yet reacted. As a result, Gu Huiyan said. Because people mind their own business. Shang Zuoyan. She had a question mark on her face at first, then quickly reacted and shouted through gritted teeth. Gu Huiyan. Before leaving, he wanted to make her angry. Who is he? Tisk tisk. Zhang Shuo stared at the scene with his mouth smacked, and couldn't help but shake his head. He was also communicating with the staff at this time. Are we leaving tonight? He asked his assistant. Yes, we have a flight around 9 o'clock in the evening. We can just finish recording the program and leave early, the assistant replied. Zhang Shuo nodded. He was busier than Pei Jingshu. I originally came to this show with the idea of copying CP, but now CP has been fired by Gu Huiyan. After being fired for 3 times, he got nothing, which is not embarrassing enough. He almost regretted accepting this show. Now Zhang Shuo is thinking, get out of here quickly, destroy it, I'm tired. Hiccup. At this moment, his stomach was churning and he burped. A strong smell of garlic, sesame sauce, and vinegar mixed together rushed up. It didn't matter to him. After all, the person eating it didn't feel anything. He even thought it was quite delicious. But the female assistant who was communicating with him subconsciously raised her hand to cover her nose and turned slightly. That moment, Zhang Shuo seemed to be insulted, his face trembled crazily, and the corners of his mouth twitched crazily. TMD, I ate too much cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks, a kind of plant. After changing into light clothes, Gu Huiyan went out and got into the car under the guidance of the staff. In addition to the driver and the staff arranged by Mother Zhang, there was also a girl wearing glasses and pigtails in the car. "Hello, Brother Gu, my name is Zhang Nuan, and I will be your assistant from today on," the girl said politely. "Oh, hello." Gu Huiyan nodded. He complained before that Zhang Ma didn't arrange a staff member. "Well, they will be in place today." Okay. We had just met, and they needed to get used to each other." Gu Huiyan didn't have much to say on the way, but Zhang Nuan chatted with Gu Huiyan about some work-related matters. "Today I have to record a song first, and then I have a few commercials to connect with him in the past 2 days. There are no endorsements for the time being. He is a bit popular now, but the endorsement route is too vague, and no one is looking for him. It's not like advertising, just forward one on social platforms. Then there is music copyright. Now not only some music platforms require his authorization, but also short video platforms and video platforms. There are even some singers who want to cover songs on the show. In short, Gu Huiyan collects a lot of copyright fees alone. There were some commercial performances, but Zhang Ma didn't think it was suitable for him to go now, so she didn't pick him up. For now, that's all it takes. The company has taken care of many details, so he doesn't need to worry about it. After talking about work, there was nothing else. Zhang Nuan didn't talk about anything else. He was quite depressed because of Gu Huiyan, so he couldn't help but ask. "Why don't you talk to me about life?" "Brother Gu, what are you referring to?" Zhang Nuan was still a little confused. "Just like." Gu Huiyan thought for a while and said. "Clothes to wear, food to eat, etc." He was hinting a bit. What he actually wanted to say was that the assistants were in charge of the artists not to eat too much, to stay in shape, to control their weight, to control oil and sugar, and to control greasiness. They also had to be particular about how they dressed, and some went out in style. The teacher will take several of them. Yes, he may not be able to bring as many staff as others, but you, the assistant, can't just ignore everything in life, right? Puff. Zhang Nuan was amused by Gu Huiyan and said. "Mom Zhang gave orders, don't worry about these." "Why?" Gu Huiyan's mouth twitched. Zhang Nuan suppressed a smile and replied. "She said this is the route you took. Just let you be casual." Gu Huiyan. "Well, I feel like there is no difference between having this assistant and not having one. By the way, is being an artist so free? Why didn't he know this before? He is truly fed. Shang Zuoyan may be jealous to death when she sees it." Seeing Gu Huiyan like this, Zhang Nuan breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, she was a little nervous when she was asked by the company to be Gu Huiyan's assistant because she didn't know what kind of person Gu Huiyan was. Many artists have all kinds of bad habits. Asking their assistants to run errands and buy things is considered basic. Some big names even ask their assistants to put on clothes, shoes, or even socks for them. Yes, maybe Gu Huiyan appears in front of the camera as a simple, honest, and village-like big boy, but what can you trust in this entertainment industry? 1. God knows if he is the character created for himself on the show. There are so many people in this industry who do one thing in front of the camera and another behind the camera. Who in the entertainment industry doesn't have them? This is why Zhang Nuan has only dared to talk to him about work since they first met. But through the brief contact after meeting, Zhang Nuan found that Gu Huiyan seemed to be exactly like the person on the show. Not only was he honest, but he was even a little silly. Such a silly and cute artist. It's unlikely that he has any evil intentions. This reassured her. After lunch, I went out to record the songs. Because the recording location for the Crystal Love Season program was relatively remote, it took more than an hour just to travel, and it was already past 1 o'clock when I got there to record the songs. The process of recording songs is not complicated. Gu Huiyan had handed over the accompaniment beforehand. When he arrived, it was basically done, so he just went in and recorded it. Speaking of which, this was Gu Huiyan's first time recording a song. It was quite novel to enter the recording studio, face the professional microphones and other equipment, and look at the sound engineer and his assistant behind the glass. Needless to say, the recording place is so quiet. It feels like there's not even a sound of wind. It's like plugging your ears. The recording is also simple. Gu Huiyan just puts on the headset and sings along with the accompaniment. Start recording. What surprised both the sound engineer and the new assistant Zhang Nuan was that Gu Huiyan's singing skills were very good. Even if it was the first time to record a song, there were almost no stumblings during the whole recording, and the singing was very stable. The most important thing is that his tone is very good, and his control of the sound is also superb. It can be used directly without any tuning or modification. The sound engineer couldn't help but lament that millions of sound engineers didn't have a chance to work here. There is a kind of singer called a studio singer. That kind of person can only record songs in a recording studio. After recording, have a million tuner fix the sound and then release the song before you can listen to it. If you want him to sing live, even if it's not all open mic, he may have to die in public. Many people now listen to programs that have been edited. For example, some singers compete on stage. It sounds great when you watch the program, but the public judges at the scene just don't vote. Why? Because what people heard at the scene was the live performance of the studio singer who died after being exposed. What you heard is their edited version. How can it be the same? Can you vote for him? The funniest thing is that the program had to fix the sound of that person, because without fixing his live broadcast would not be broadcast at all, and it would be impossible to listen to all the out-of-tune sounds. Obviously, Gu Huiyan is not the kind of studio singer who would die in the light. With his level of ability, even if he went out to sing a cappella, he would still be in trouble. At the same time, Crystal Courtyard. I'll fry this fungus for you tonight. The actor Su Yuntang was washing the fungi that Gu Huiyan and the others had picked in the kitchen, while his mature sister Xylin sat aside and nodded gently. These are not poisonous, right? Su Yuntang also made a special confirmation. The ones that are not poisonous and the ones that are poisonous are specially selected. Xylin pointed to the green hand in the bag on the right. Good. Su Yuntang nodded. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Xuan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 105. It was already 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon when Gu Huiyan left the recording studio after recording the song. Recording a song may seem simple, but the various things involved are complicated. It doesn't mean that you just leave after recording. You have to listen to it, fix the sound, and discuss some opinions on the production with you. Gu Huiyan was quite fast and didn't waste much time in recording. He sang it perfectly several times and couldn't find any faults, so he passed the test. Mother Zhang had prepared a day and a half of recording time for him, which was already beyond his expectations. What surprised the recording engineer was that although Gu Huiyan came to the recording studio for the first time, his understanding of music theory was not low, and he gave a lot of valuable opinions on production. To be honest, Gu Huiyan just recorded a song with Gui Bao, and hardly used anyone else in terms of arrangement and production. He is a relatively mature and versatile musician. By the way, there's something I forgot to tell you. On the way back after recording the song, Zhang Nuan told Gu Huiyan. Teacher Xiao Gu, you said you want to write a song for Shang Xuan, right? Yeah, I said it this morning. Gu Huiyan nodded. He had been wasting his time all day and would have forgotten about it if he didn't remind him. Are you sure you can write? Zhang Nuan asked. Right, Gu Huiyan nodded. Then the quotation we give them is not low, so you have to write it seriously, Zhang Nuan instructed. How much is the price? Gu Huiyan couldn't help but be curious. Shang Xuan's manager, Han Li, boasted in Haikao in the morning that price was not an issue. Hearing her words, she wished she was willing to give Gu Huiyan a quote for the highest level musician's creation. Gu Huiyan didn't know what the price of high-end products in the industry was, and he was afraid that he would suffer a loss if he paid less, or make others think he was an amateur if he paid more, so he simply left the matter to Zhang Ma. See what this means, is the quotation out? Very high. Zhang Nuan smiled and said. I quoted 850,000 yuan. So much. Gu Huiyan is still a little surprised. You must know that the total music platform licensing fees for his Want to See You and A Diao are only 800,000. The creation fee alone for writing a song for Shang Xuan is more than the copyright for the two songs. The fees add up. She is indeed the most popular female idol in domestic entertainment and has a lot of money. I don't even need copyright for this. Zhang Nuan said with a look of amazement. Real or fake? Gu Huiyan even doubted whether they had deceived him. In fact, in the industry, the average musician in the industry needs 200,000 to 300,000 to start a song, a slightly famous musician has 5 to 6 million, and a higher level musician can have 8, 9, or even 1 million. Of course, it's still the same sentence, you have to take those very famous king-level creators to argue that I didn't say anything. Most of them are purchased directly from the company along with the copyright. The most expensive thing about a song is the copyright. But Shang Xuan offered such a high price without asking for copyright. This is really sincerity. So you have to write carefully. Zhang Nuan said seriously. Gu Huiyan nodded and kept looking for songs in the system mall on the way back. Speaking of which, Gu Huiyan's system points accumulated today are quite old and young, already more than 5,000. It was already close to 2,000 in the morning. Although there were not many tasks during the day, there were still a few critical hits. After all, it is not surprising to have these in total. Speaking of songs to write for Shang Xuan, Gu Huiyan searched half-heartedly but couldn't find a few suitable songs. The main reason was that many of them were soulful and not suitable for a singing and dancing female idol like her. At this moment, Gu Huiyan's eyes glanced at a very brainwashing song that he had listened to before. His eyes lit up. This is great. At this time. Crystal Courtyard. The taste of this fungus is indeed quite unique. Xylin and others are already having dinner. The mushrooms that Gu Huiyan and the others collected in the morning were enough for 2 or 3 meals. At noon, Su Yuntang originally planned to go upstairs to ask Xylin how she wanted to eat, and temporarily added a dish of fried mushrooms, but it turned out that Xylin had sprained her feet, so she could only left it till evening. What a strange smell! Shang Xuan picked up a piece of mushroom and stuffed it into her mouth. She took a few bites and nodded cutely. But it's quite delicious. As she spoke, she picked up a few more chopsticks. Speaking of which, wasn't it because I ate a lot of cucumbers mixed with fried dough sticks at noon? In the afternoon, since Gu Huiyan was away, there was nothing to do, so Shang Xuan was dragged by her manager to train hard for several hours. I'm hungry right now, so I don't care what it is, I just stuff it in my mouth to show off. Zhang Shuo also likes to eat this fungus. He probably ate cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks at noon and it was too much. The smell of garlic was in his nose from afternoon to night. He was disliked when communicating with the staff, which made him feel sick. It's quite annoying. At this time, I also plan to eat something else to suppress the smell. The barrage will occasionally float by. How come one of the fungi they eat looks so much like a green hand? I remember that when Shang Zuoyan was picking mushrooms, she was busy fighting with Gu Huiyan. Didn't she pick them out carefully? Okay, I'm an artist, so the staff must have helped with the screening. Indeed, some people just like dogs and mice to meddle in other people's business. When Gu Huiyan returned to the crystal courtyard, it was already dark. When the cameras showed Gu Huiyan coming down from the business car chatting with his assistant, some viewers were still a little uncomfortable. In my impression, the means of transportation that Gu Huiyan should take seemed to be electric cars. Electric tricycle? It's amazing that everyone can adapt to this sudden seriousness. Where are the people? After Gu Huiyan returned to the crystal courtyard, he found that the first floor was brightly lit but no one was there. It made him a little confused. Everyone has gone upstairs to rest, the staff member replied. What time is it? Gu Huiyan looked at the time. It was only after 7 o'clock. It seems that Sister Xylan usually goes to bed early and goes upstairs to do skincare and apply facial mask after 8 o'clock. Why do other people go to bed so early? Have no idea. The staff was still puzzled. Not long after dinner, everyone went upstairs to rest one after another. They were quite depressed because of the treatment. Why couldn't they have fun without Gu Huiyan? What the hell? I'll go upstairs and take a look. Gu Huiyan happened to buy some plasters for Sister Xylan on the way and planned to send them to her now. So he put down his things and walked to the female guest's residence with the plaster in hand. When going upstairs, he passed Shang Zuoyan's room. Her room was next to the stairs. As soon as Gu Huiyan passed by, he heard a strange sound coming from the room. Well, come here, don't run away. Why don't you taste good? Why does it have no flavor at all when it's so long? It's so annoying. Gu Huiyan. This voice made him a little fanciful. Is there anyone else in her room? Gu Huiyan asked the camera teacher. Definitely not, the camera teacher replied. Then what is she moaning about? Gu Huiyan looked confused and couldn't help but step forward and knocked on Shang Zuoyan's door. Shang Zuoyan, are you? He originally wanted to ask Shang Zuoyan what you were moaning about, but he was only halfway through speaking. Boom. The door was suddenly pushed open. But seeing Shang Zuoyan wearing a tight black vest, she jumped out immediately. Gu Huiyan almost jumped out of the stair guard rail. He was still muttering. Cake. Sausage. Milk tea. Oh, don't run away. What's going on with you? Seeing that she looked like she was drunk and talking nonsense, Gu Huiyan was dumbfounded. Let you run. Shang Zuoyan vaguely grasped Gu Huiyan's arm with her two small hands, drooling and secretly saying. You are mine, I want to eat you. Ah. As he said that, he took a big bite on Gu Huiyan's arm. Wak, hiss, what are you doing? Gu Huiyan gasped in pain and quickly called the staff for help. The staff downstairs seemed to have noticed something was wrong. Some people wanted to go upstairs to take a look just now. Now they hurried upstairs when they heard that something had happened. What about Charlene, the developer of Gangjia? Ah! Suddenly, the mature Sister Xylan's exclamation came from the next room. No longer caring about the situation, everyone rushed into Xylan's room, only to see Xylan frantically wiping her wet feet with a quilt and shouting. Why can't I stop? Ah! Where did the piranha come from? Ah! Shark! Go away, go away! Ah! Xylan, the mature sister who usually exudes intellectual charm, looked as cute as a girl at this moment. When Gu Huiyan and the staff passed by, she called shark, piranha, octopus, anyway, she had a set of all kinds of fish. Do you dare to think that the salmon will pop out? No. What's going on? The audience watching the show were shocked. Why are they talking nonsense? Damn it, couldn't this be poisoning caused by eating fungi? I just said some of what they ate at night looked like they had green hands. That stuff will be poisonous if it's not cooked properly. Send to the hospital quickly. The staff and artist team who came over after hearing the news were all in a panic, and Zhang Dan was even more frightened. MD, if these top-notch people were to do something bad in their show, fine, she would just wait to be beaten by a few people. Let's block it together. Being banned is a trivial matter. If you don't find a sewing machine and use it for a few years, it will be fine. Is everything okay with the male guest? When Zhang Dan went upstairs, he asked Gu Huiyan. I don't know, I haven't gone there yet. Gu Huiyan, who escaped because he went to record a song, was lucky, but he was also in a hurry. He didn't waste any time and hurried to the male guest. Just before I got to the stairs and went downstairs, I heard a voice coming from the male guest. Boom. Zhang Shuo kicked the door open. Spider. What a big spider. Do not come. Ah. Fat Tiger, his assistant and bodyguard. Fat Tiger, save me, Fat Tiger. Come quickly. He sat on the ground and backed away in a very funny way, as if the spider was gnawing between his legs. I go. The staff was scared crazy. Fortunately, Zhang Shuo's staff reacted quickly and hurried up to help him. Gu Huiyan ran all the way to the second floor of the male guests. Seeing that Zhang Shuo was controlled and Su Yuntang's room was still there, he couldn't care less about being polite or impolite, so he quickly kicked the door in. Ah! When he kicked the door, he heard a scream. Gu Huiyan was a little anxious at the time and didn't listen carefully. He thought it was Zhang Shuo screaming outside. He shouted. Brother! Are you okay? I went in and searched for a long time but couldn't find anyone. When I turned back and went out, I found Su Yuntang sitting at the door. He didn't have any strange reactions, he just sat there unconscious. His staff also rushed over, but Gu Huiyan was in front, and his staff were all little girls. Gu Huiyan did his duty, picked up Su Yuntang and walked out. What's going on? Gu Huiyan didn't ask until he carried them all downstairs. It seems that I was poisoned by eating fungus, a staff member replied. Ah! Everyone in Gu Huiyan was dumbfounded. No, the fungi they picked seemed to be non-toxic. Ayao followed them all the way. Don't worry so much, send me to the hospital first. Zhang Dan hurriedly called the staff to lift them to the car. At this moment, he didn't even bother to call for an ambulance. When the ambulance arrived, everyone was cold, so they should be sent to the hospital quickly. I'll go with you too. Gu Huiyan thought that everyone was confused and there was no use in staying here alone, so he planned to follow them. That's all. Everyone packed up and went to the hospital. I don't know if it was a coincidence or not, but Gu Huiyan got into Shang Zuoyan's car. In the car, Shang Zuoyan was like a rat that had been hungry for 8 lifetimes. Everything he saw looked like food. Think of leather car seats as chocolates, bags as cakes, clothes as candies, and Gu Huiyan as sausages. God knows how shocking the scene of her chasing Gu Huiyan and chewing on all kinds of penises was so shocking. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but sigh, this guy is really a foodie. After being poisoned, all he could think about was food. I'm impressed, you old six. The rest of the cars were not much better. Fortunately, the recording of the show was over, otherwise their bad behavior would have been broadcast and would have become their laughing stock for a long time. The show was forced to end the recording early. The internet is in turmoil. Hashtag the guests of Crystal Love season collectively ate fungi and were poisoned. Hashtag. There is such a hot search hanging high at the top of the hot search list on each platform. Click on it, and you will see that it is not a video edited by the program team, but some screen recordings edited by netizens. No. What's going on? Fans, netizens, Passers-by, viewers, all came to watch and eat melon, and the comment area was quite lively. How come we were all poisoned after recording a show? It seems that the uncooked Ching Ching was poisoned after being eaten. No, I remember when I was watching the show, Sister Xylan said that she had picked out all the young hands. I remember that when Shang Zuoyan was fighting with Gu Huiyan, I didn't pay attention and threw in several young men. No, are they okay? I don't know. He is being sent to the hospital now. Eating too much of this stuff can really kill you. What we are saying is that Gu Huiyan, the old man, got away this time. He just got lucky. He happened to go out to work and didn't get any food. No, how come this grandson, Zhe, was not poisoned? Gu Huiyan? Who did I provoke and who provoked me? A hot search sparked widespread discussion. There are actually other hot topics today, including Gu Huiyan buying fried dough sticks, tofu curd, soy milk, and tea eggs early in the morning, watching Shang Zuoyan dance, drying quilts, going to the mountains to collect fungi, Xylan Wei's feet, and cucumber mix fried dough sticks. Wait, these are all hot search topics. If the guests hadn't been collectively poisoned tonight, those would have been the ones that everyone discussed the most about Crystal Love season. But when the guests are collectively poisoned, those good jobs that are rewarded will not seem so conspicuous. After the fans learned the news, they really exploded on the spot. They wished they could wipe out the official accounts of the Crystal Love season program team on all platforms. The comment area was full of curses. Calling the program team irresponsible, how could the guests be poisoned while recording the program? In fact, the program team also had troubles that they couldn't tell, and they were wronged. Xylan clearly said that all the poisonous ones were picked out, so how could the local villagers not tell them if there were any poisonous people they took them to? Who would have known that Shang Zuoyan was so careless and busy chasing and fighting with Gu Huiyan that she threw several young men into the basket? Also, this is also Su Yuntang's fault. He rarely overcooks things, and usually eats them tender, so that the original flavor of the ingredients can be enjoyed. It turns out that the green hands are edible if they are cooked, and they need to be fried for a while, but he likes to eat tender ones, and he will be poisoned if they are not fried. Of course, these program crews will definitely not say that you are passing the responsibility to others when they are already poisoned. Isn't this just looking for scolding? The staff responsible for the official accounts of each platform had no choice but to quickly issue an apology statement. Some Shiu'er not only scolded the staff, but also Gu Huiyan, shouting, "It's all because this old man insists on picking some fungi. It's all his fault for fighting with Shang Zuoyan. It's his fault for breathing. Why wasn't he poisoned?" Gu Huiyan saw that the designated old man had been wronged, and MD wasn't the one who stuffed fungi into everyone's mouths. Speaking of which, if Gu Huiyan was here, he might really be able to pick out the young man, mainly because he didn't expect them to eat tonight. Fortunately, because they were discovered early, the program crew sent the guests to a nearby hospital in time. After the doctor performed emergency treatment, they told them that they were fine because they ate less. In other words, if you have a weak stomach and intestines, just take some medicine and be fine for 2 days. It's not a big problem. The local area is rich in fungi. Every year, some people are sent to the hospital for poisoning after eating fungi. This is considered a relatively common thing. However, the doctor still told them that the fungi must be fried. They even said that you celebrities, don't be so particular about your food, and try to eat other things fully cooked, otherwise you will get sick sooner or later. All in all, it was a near miss. After the program team confirmed that the guest was fine, they quickly cooperated with their staff and posted updates on social platforms, and the scolding on the internet subsided slightly. It is worth mentioning that not long after it was confirmed that everything was fine, some Shiu'er came up with something online. Videos showing Shang Zuoyan, Xylan, and Zhongshuo being poisoned are out. In the video, Shang Xuoyan looked at everything as if it were food. Sister Xylin called out countless kinds of fish, and Zhang Shuo shouted, "Big spider! Fat tiger, save me! See these videos." Puff. Some netizens laughed unkindly. They stated, "I'm sorry but, ha ha ha, they are really funny, ha ha ha. I never had the nerve to say it before, why are they so poisoned? It's so funny. Haha, I have also been poisoned. I really just saw things in fantasy and fantasy novels. I felt it was raining on the bus, and I opened my umbrella on the bus. Can you believe it? Please give me some monthly votes, friends, and let's see if we can also kill the list. I kneel down and thank you all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 106. After confirming that Shang Xuoyan and the others were fine, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and shared their own poisoning experiences. In the video of the show, Sister Xylin is doing better, but Shang Xuoyan and Zhang Shuo are done making fools of themselves. Fans of Pei Jingshu's family said that it was lucky that my sister Pei was not here, otherwise the filter would have really broken into pieces. It is worth mentioning that fans of Su Yuntang said that our best actor Su Lian did not make a fool of himself even after being poisoned. Well done, he is indeed my male idol. However, judging from the pictures exposed by Su Yuntang's staff, there seems to be a bruise on his face, and it is not clear how it was done, which caused a wave of concern among the audience. One night. Confused. That was it. The next day. Early morning. A hospital in a town near Yungzi village. Aha. Gu Huiyan yawned, holding his mobile phone and saying hello to the people in the video. Is everyone okay? The face in the video is white and tender, with facial features that reveal the temperament of a wealthy daughter, and her long black hair scattered casually. Probably any passerby would be able to recognize her when they see her. She is so recognizable. It is Sister Pei Jingshu Pei who left the team to be busy with work. When she woke up in the morning and learned from the staff that everyone was poisoned, Pei Jingshu quickly called to express her concern. It's okay. They were all slightly poisoned. They didn't eat much. Gu Huiyan smiled helplessly and said, "There's no need to put on an intravenous drip. Just take some medicine and you'll be fine in 2 days." That's what he said, but Gu Huiyan felt that it didn't sound very nice. He simply added another sentence. "It's just that I may have to be idle for a few days." Celebrities themselves are very controlled about eating and other matters, and their bodies are not as good as those of strong people. For others, it may take 3 to 5 days to recuperate when others are sick, but they may have to recuperate for 7 or 8 days. Pook. Seeing Gu Huiyan's careless look, Pei Jingshu couldn't help but smile and said, "You're lucky, you happened to go out to record songs and didn't get any. I'm also glad that this wave of European energy has really brought me great luck." Gu Huiyan smiled and said, "Thankfully you weren't here, otherwise I wouldn't dare imagine what it would be like if you were poisoned and had hallucinations." What do you mean? Pei Jingshu gave Gu Huiyan a rare roll of her eyes. There was no resentment or anger, but there was some contrast in it. "You don't even know that I'm talking to you, just last night." Gu Huiyan chattered with Pei Jingshu, telling Pei Jingshu that Shang Xuoyan treated him like a big sausage last night. He also looked at Sister Xylin as everything looks like a fish. Zhang Shuo shouted, "Fat tiger, to save me." Waiting for all the news that Pei Jingshu might not have had time to read, she was told. Pook, chuck. It made Pei Jingshu giggle. To be honest, a cold beauty like Pei Jingshu only smiles all the time when she is with Gu Huiyan. Speaking of which, this seems to be the first time they have chatted outside the camera. There were cameras in the crystal courtyard all the time before. In addition to followed, it was the GoPro in the room. Maybe it's because she has been an artist for a long time. Pei Jingshu knows very well that many people think there are two different faces in front of the camera and in private. She was really afraid that Gu Huiyan was not as enthusiastic as he was in front of the camera in private. Now it turned out that she had indeed thought too much. Not only was Gu Huiyan still enthusiastic, he was even more lively than in front of the camera. What pleased Pei Jingshu the most was that although they had not seen each other for just over a day, Gu Huiyan and her seemed to have endless things to say. Speaking of which, she should be lucky that the guests of Crystal Love Season were collectively poisoned and became a hot topic, otherwise her sister would not have given her the phone. Where are you now? I see this behind you. After talking about himself and making sure that there was nothing major going on here, Gu Huiyan turned the topic to Pei Jingshu. Looking at the background behind Pei Jingshu, it doesn't look like she is in a hotel. She is also dressed very delicately, as if she is about to go on stage. I'm backstage at the show. Pei Jingshu pursed her lower lip slightly, showing a somewhat tired look, and said helplessly. I've been recording the show all night. In fact, the timing of celebrities and entertainers is not accurate. If you look at the pictures of celebrities on the red carpet, their faces will look sluggish even if they are wearing makeup, because they almost always stay up late. It's not that many programs have to be recorded in the middle of the morning, but their recording time is relatively long. Let's put it this way, the 1-hour program you see on TV may take 4 or 5 hours to record. It takes time to set up the stage, props, transitions, and it also takes time for the host, actors, guests, etc. to move on stage. After the normal recording process is over, there is still a re-recording process. For example, waste footage and missing links caused by slips of the tongue, on-site mistakes, etc. need to be re-recorded. What everyone sees is the finished film after editing, and naturally they cannot understand the length of the behind-the-scenes recording. You are like Pei Jingshu. She arrived at the studio here yesterday morning to participate in the rehearsal. After the rehearsal, she went back to dress up and wait for the program team to pick her up. She started recording in the evening and recorded for the whole night. Yes, her singing session may only last a few minutes, but she needs to participate in the entire recording. There will be cameras for her at all times, how can she be allowed to fall asleep? Many celebrities and artists stay up late because of this. Oh. Gu Huiyan nodded and said. I feel sorry for you for a minute. Pei Jingshu was amused by him and couldn't help but say. You look very sleepy too. Did you not sleep last night? How can I sleep well? Gu Huiyan grinned and said helplessly. I slept in the same bed with the staff at the hospital last night. They had too many staff. Speaking of last night, Gu Huiyan had a headache. Not only MD's staff from the program team were here, but also Zhang Shuo, Xilin, Shang Zuoyan, Su Yuntang's assistants and so on. That's called a crowd of people. There were not many people in the small town hospital, but it was surprisingly overcrowded by them. All the seats outside were occupied, let alone the beds inside. It's good enough for Gu Huiyan to grab a bed and sleep for a while, right? Pook. His miserable look made Pei Jingshu laugh again, and she said playfully. Then, I feel sorry for you for a minute. Gu Huiyan shook his head and smiled bitterly, saying. When will you come back? It will take another day or two. Pei Jingshu pursed her lips. Do you think she didn't want to go back early? Who made these things work? It's been hard for you to take care of everyone these days, she said. It's harmful, you think too much. Gu Huiyan said carelessly. With a bunch of staff gathered around there's no need for me. Maybe it was because there were too many programs and too many polite words. Pei Jingshu subconsciously said some polite words to Gu Huiyan in front of the camera. The celebrity artist really has a problem. Gu Huiyan needs to take care of him. Their assistants are worried enough. Just talk about last night, good guy, Gu Huiyan has learned a lot. One by one, they were shouting and asking the doctor to treat their own artist first, for fear that their own artist would have a problem and they would not pay attention to their appearance. After finally confirming that the problem was not serious, I quickly contacted the car and contacted the hospital, saying that I had to go to a large hospital for a full body examination and treatment. If the doctor at the hospital hadn't said that they had nothing serious and didn't eat much, they would be fine if they took an 4 drip, took some medicine, and rested. They should rest now and not be jolted, and Gu Huiyan might not even be able to see him now. Here comes Sister Xylin and her friends. Zhang Shuo's assistant even shouted to take him back to Shanghai overnight for a careful inspection, but there was no one left. Speaking of Zhang Shuo, this brother is quite miserable. He was supposed to take a flight tonight to go back to work, but ended up being delayed because of this matter. He even had to be delayed for a few days later because of his health. He. Pei Jingshu raised a jade hand and gently rubbed her forehead, thinking that Gu Huiyan was still as true as ever. After chatting briefly for a while, Pei Jingshu's staff came over and called her to record, and they reluctantly hung up the phone. Jingshu. Backstage at the show, a middle-aged woman dressed very gracefully asked Pei Jingshu. Who are you talking to? Huang Lan, a well-known female singer, is known as the Iron Voice and is famous in the music industry for her ability to pull wheat with one hand. At her concerts, you can often see her handing you the microphone. Just when you are about to sing, you look up and realize that she is not handing you the microphone, but rather Lamek. Friend. Pei Jingshu said calmly. How can you have so much fun chatting with your friends? Huang Ma smiled. Pei Jingshu was known as a cold beauty, and she didn't even smile much when facing seniors like them. She just couldn't stop giggling when she was on the phone in the lounge. Pei Jingshu pursed her lips and smiled, nodded, and said nothing. She usually talks little and is not very willing to explain. Huang Langzhen said that this little girl might be a friend. By the way, next week it will be the guest singing session. Have you found your guest yet? Huang Lan asked. Not yet. Pei Jingshu shook her head slightly. She was quite popular in the industry, but after all, she was a personal studio, not a brokerage company. Normally, the guests invited to the show would be seniors from the same company or people with interests in the company. It doesn't matter to you, you just have to spend money. Pei Ya has scouted a few in the past 2 days, but Pei Jingshu is not very satisfied. Not everyone can keep up with her live. In this circle, many capable singers cannot be hired with money. Isn't the CP you participated in the romance show good at? At this time, other people's voices came from beside her. Pei Jingshu turned around and saw that it was a middle-aged man wearing leather pants. Wang Lei is a well-known singer, academic, very talented, and a rock singer. He is known as half of the rock industry. I just love wearing leather pants. Are you still watching Lianzone? Huang Lan laughed. I don't watch romance dramas, but I watch trending searches. Wang Lei said with a smile on his face. Gu Huiyan and Pei Jingshu's Pei Ban takes care of CP is very popular, and almost everyone around them knows about it. When the two of them looked at Pei Jingshu at the same time, they found that for some reason, a blush appeared on Pei Jingshu's little face. Her skin is very fair, and it is obvious when she is red. Let's talk about it again. She lowered her head, nodded to the two seniors, turned around and walked away. Hey. Looking at Pei Jingshu's hasty back, the two seniors looked at each other, and suddenly felt like they were filled with a mouthful of dog food by the young man's love. Gu Huiyan sighed. In the hospital. After hanging up the phone, Gu Huiyan stretched, stood up and moved his body, and then went to the ward over there. Zhang Shuo, 11 Lin, Su Yuntang, and Shang Zuoyan lived in the same ward. The hospital in the small town had limited resources and basically no single rooms. They were all poisoned, so the doctor gave them to them for convenience. They were placed in the same ward. *U0026 amp %UN #at. When Gu Huiyan entered, the room was buzzing with chatter. There were staff from the program team, Shang Zuoyan, and their respective assistants and so on. This is still a small number of people. If the doctor hadn't said that the hospital needed to be quiet and they needed to rest, the room might have been so crowded that no one could even stand. At this time, Xylin and the others were already awake, with the staff beside them. Zhang Shuo's assistant kept complaining about the poor medical conditions here, and there was not even a single room. She was awake, but she looked a little weak. The mature sister Xylin's lips were a little white and her face was extremely pale. The assistant bought her millet porridge and fed it to her. Best actor Su Yuntang is in a slightly better condition. He can sit up and is not as lethargic as others. However, the bruise on his face is very obvious and a bit swollen. He looks quite miserable. Shang Zuoyan didn't know whether she was awake or not. She was wrapped in a quilt and her manager Han Li didn't even answer when she called her. It is said that it was because when I woke up in the morning and saw what happened last night, I was so ashamed. I died on the spot and was too embarrassed to see anyone. It is worth mentioning that Zhang Shuo has not completely sobered up yet, probably due to the fact that he eats the most fungi. Toad. The door was close to Zhang Shuo. When Gu Huiyan came in, Zhang Shuo happened to see him. At this moment, Zhang Shuo was huddled in a corner of the bed, hugging the quilt with a horrified expression on his face, pulling his assistant, pointing at Gu Huiyan and saying, "Fat tiger! Fight this toad away quickly! Hurry!" Puff. It made everyone around me laugh. Even Shang Zuoyan, who was wrapped in a quilt, burst into laughter. Gu Huiyan. Aim. What a toad you are! Your whole family is a toad. Hitui. Frog. Before Gu Huiyan said anything, Zhang Shuo pointed to the handle of the chair where his assistant was sitting and said there was a frog. Well. Everyone is helpless, this guy has been making trouble all night. It was Gu Huiyan who had the energy, and he put on a classic no physical performance in front of 11 Lin and Su Yuntang, two professional actors of the best actor and actress level. When he walked to the chair handle where Zhang Shuo pointed to the frog, Gu Huiyan stretched out his hand and made a catch the frog motion. Grab it! Pointing at the Lanling King in his hand, he looked at Zhang Shuo and raised his eyebrows. Yeah. Zhang Shuo nodded repeatedly and huddled up. Gu Huiyan waved his hand and threw the frog to where Shang Zuoyan was lying on the bed. Call. Zhang Shuo breathed a sigh of relief. Puff. Ha ha ha. Some people in the ward couldn't help but laugh. They wanted to say how come this little teacher Gu is so funny whether he is recording a show or not. By the way, there is something about his non-physical performance. You can become an actor. The mature sister Xylin said a little weakly. Not really. Gu Huiyan smiled helplessly and asked with concern. Are you okay, Sister Xylin? I'm fine, I just feel a little weak. The mature sister smiled softly, pointed to Shang Zuoyan's position and said. You'd better go and see Yan Yan, it feels like she's suffocating to death. Hearing this, Gu Huiyan nodded while suppressing a smile, and then walked to Shang Zuoyan's side. Hey, Shang Zuoyan. He said. If you're not dead, just say something. Puff. There was a burst of laughter from the quilt. Shang Zuoyan did not lift the quilt and said in a very shameful tone. Is there anyone who cares about people like you? I'm afraid you'll suffocate to death. Gu Huiyan scratched his head and said. Besides, I'm not feeling uncomfortable yet, but you are feeling miserable as hell. Last night, he was hugged and bitten by Shang Zuoyan many times, and there are still traces of her teeth on his hands. Look at what you bitten for me, come on. Gu Huiyan poked at her quilt and said. Her assistant and manager were holding back laughter while casting apologetic glances at Gu Huiyan. Speaking of which, it was thanks to Gu Huiyan that he took on the responsibility of Shang Zuoyan's teeth stick last night, otherwise Shang Zuoyan would have had to chase after them. Ah! Don't say that. Shang Zuoyan was so embarrassed that she wanted to die this morning when she saw how embarrassed she was last night. Okay. Oh my! Shang Zuoyan. How could I do so many embarrassing things and still hold Gu Huiyan in my arms like a sausage? I'm not alive anymore. She wanted to dig a crack in the ground and crawl in. No. She even wants to live on another planet. It's okay to leave this galaxy. Haha. Although it was rude and a bit wicked, everyone in the room couldn't help but laugh. Yes, maybe they are really miserable, but it is undeniable that except for Su Yuntang, they are all funny. Xilan's mentality is quite good. She has never seen a mature sister in big troubles, and things like social death are trivial to her. That is to say, Zhang Shuo is not awake yet, otherwise he may have to pack his luggage and team up with Shang Zuoyan to leave the planet. So what did you see last night? While laughing, Gu Huiyan sat on the edge of Shang Zuoyan's bed and asked happily. Me. Shang Zuoyan hesitated and couldn't hear clearly what she said even though she was wrapped in quilt. Perhaps it was indeed too boring, so Shang Zuoyan simply lifted the quilt covering her head a little, but her entire face was not exposed, only the upper half of her face, above her nose. She grabbed the edge of the quilt with both hands, fearing that someone would lift it off her, and she felt a little silly for no reason. Her pretty face turned red, whether from shame or anger. Her big, doll-like eyes were filled with shame, and she hesitated and said, I saw, a lot of food. In fact, the memories and feelings of last night are still there. She remembers that she felt a little dizzy and sleepy after eating last night. She went back to the room to rest, and soon a poached egg appeared in front of her eyes. Then there are cakes, milk tea, scallion pancakes, beef, elbows, meat buns. There is a sausage knocking on the door and calling to him. At that time, Shang Zuoyan thought she was in heaven. Why did she have so much food? Later I found out that I was hallucinating due to fungus poisoning. And the so-called sausage. It's Gu Huiyan. At this moment, Shang Zuoyan looked at the rows of teeth marks on Gu Huiyan's arm, and thought of how she was holding him and chewing on him, drooling all over his arms. I just want to die. She really doesn't want to live on this planet anymore. She just thought, can you let me live on another planet? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 107. Ahaha. In the ward, Gu Huiyan's unbridled laughter could be heard. He was holding his mobile phone and playing the scene of Shang Zuoyan holding him and chewing on him in the car last night. She is truly a foodie. She was poisoned by fungi and still had food everywhere she saw. Are you human, Gu Huiyan? Xiao Yema was so angry that he grabbed Gu Huiyan's phone with all his teeth and claws. He was poisoned last night and this guy actually recorded it? He was completely inappropriate. Deleted. How can it be? Delete it for me. I have to state that this is another price. Gu Huiyan. Come here, hiss. Shang Zuoyan tried her best to fight Gu Huiyan, but she was so weak that she almost lay there before she could sit up. She had no strength at all. She and Zhang Shuo eat the most fungi. Zhang Shuo is still awake. She is awake, but she can't muster any strength. Speaking of which, she herself was confused. She seemed to have eaten more than Zhang Shuo, so why were her symptoms milder than Sister Xilan's? Could it be that there is some resistance in the body due to not eating enough? So Sister Xilan, what did you see last night? Gu Huiyan put the phone away, turned to look at Xilan again, and asked curiously. Fish. When she was suddenly asked this question, Xilan blushed, turned her head silently, raised her hand and quietly pulled the quilt over her head until it covered her eyes. When Gu Huiyan interrogated Shang Zuoyan just now, she was praying that she would never be asked. Well, she was asked anyway. By the way, last night she saw a lot of watermelon juice leaking from her injured foot, which then attracted a large group of fish, including sharks, piranhas, octopuses, all kinds of weird monsters gathered together. It's just that this incident made her a little embarrassed to talk about it. At this moment, the mature sister is also somewhat cute, and she also wants to save face. Hey hey hey. The people around them were laughing. To be honest, after making sure they were okay, everyone really wanted to laugh when they recalled the scenes last night. This group of people is so funny, especially Zhang Shuo, who shouted "Fat Tiger, save me." It seems like there are ghost videos out at Station B next door. His actor Su Yuntang was holding an ice pack and gently rubbing the bruised area on his face. He did not make a fool of himself, but how could his face be swollen? "Brother, are you okay?" Gu Huiyan expressed his greetings. "It's okay, no problem." Su Yuntang waved his hand and said. "It seems that I bumped into something in a daze." He couldn't remember clearly. He was really in a coma and his brain was broken. "We really want to thank teacher Xiaogu for." Su Yuntang's assistant, a neat professional woman, pointed at Gu Huiyan and said. "Teacher Xiaogu carried you down from upstairs to the car." Su Yuntang brought two assistants with him on this trip, both of them were girls. At that time, everyone was in such a hurry that no one could take care of anyone else. Even if they were the two of them, they would have to be carried by Su Yuntang for a long time. Fortunately, Gu Huiyan memorized it for him, otherwise they would have had to work hard. Su Yuntang nodded, and while rubbing the bruises on his face, he nodded to Gu Huiyan to express his gratitude. Thanks to Xiaogu. He was quite an honest person. Even if he didn't like Gu Huiyan, he would not admit that Gu Huiyan saved half his life last night. Not a dead duck, not a tough talker. It should. Gu Huiyan was also very carefree. The producer of the show, Gu Huiyan's boss Zhang Dan, was behind. Watching the conversation between Gu Huiyan and Su Yuntang, she couldn't help but lower her head silently and suppress a smile. After confirming that the guest was fine last night, she called the staff to go back and watch the replay. "Let's see what's going on and why we were poisoned. Didn't we say that all the poisonous bacteria were picked out?" Not only did they find out that Shang Zuoyan and Gu Huiyan had put the poisonous fungi aside when they were chasing each other, but when watching the replay, they also saw Gu Huiyan hurried into Su Yuntang's room. Bang! Kick the door down. The scene where the door frame hit Su Yuntang's face. Now seeing Su Yuntang thanking Gu Huiyan, Zhang Ma really wanted to laugh. Of course, Mother Zhang would never reveal this, otherwise Xiaogu would have to go from being thanked to being hunted down. Cough. Seeing that the greetings were almost done, all the guests woke up. Except for Zhang Shuo, there were no big problems. Zhang Dan coughed. When the room became quiet and everyone looked at her, she just said, "I'm really sorry for everyone. This accident was the fault of our program team. I talked about a lot of things in an uproar, and it was just short of bringing tears to my eyes. It has nothing to do with you, Sister Zhang, it's all my fault." Su Yuntang was also responsible and took the initiative to say that his mushrooms were not cooked properly and that he was too focused on the delicious food itself when cooking. When Shang Zuoyan saw that Su Yuntang had admitted his mistake, he naturally pouted and said aggrievedly, "It's all my fault that I was too busy playing and didn't pick out the fungi." If you don't know, she really didn't believe that this thing could be so powerful, and she looked puzzled when she was picking the fungi. At this point, she glanced at Gu Huiyan with a resentful look, blaming this old man for messing with her at that time, otherwise she would definitely not have misplaced the poisonous fungus. She originally thought that Gu Huiyan would also apologize, but Gu Huiyan didn't say anything, as if nothing had happened, which made Shang Xuoyan depressed for a while. Don't worry, everyone, starting today all the ingredients consumed by our guests will be specially screened by the staff. This situation will never happen again. Zhang Dan added. The conditions of the hospital here are not good either. We definitely can't let everyone stay here forever. Hearing this, everything was actually quite normal. Zhang Dan's righteous words made it seem like he was taking full responsibility for the accident, which was quite touching. But then the style of painting changed a bit. Just when everyone thought she was going to send the guests to a big hospital for a good checkup and recuperation, they actually said, I have asked the staff to go back and help everyone clean the room. The environment in our small courtyard is definitely much better than here. We have also specially invited some professional private doctors to come and make sure everyone takes good care of themselves. Having said that, the room suddenly became quiet. There were a lot of people there, and several guests were surrounded by assistant staff and so on. It was so chaotic that it was so chaotic. When Zhang Dan finished speaking, they were suddenly speechless. Good guy. After talking for a long time, she wanted to take the guests back and continue recording the show. Are you really going to stop being a human being? You are already like this, your face is so pale, why are you recording a show with me? You are too cruel. The crux of the matter was that they couldn't refute what Zhang Dan said. The conditions here are indeed not as good as those in the Crystal Courtyard, but they are more private there. As Assistant Zhang Shuo complained, there are private rooms at least. They even hired private medical care, and they were very sincere. So what if you just go to a big hospital for treatment? Isn't that the best that can happen? Movie Emperor Sumomo held his forehead. Okay, luckily he just wanted to help Zhang Dan share some responsibilities, and they were waiting here for a long time. Snort. Shang Xuoyan snorted and puffed out her cheeks angrily, saying to herself that every artist has his own boss. It's really a crooked job. The crux of the matter is, just now, Shang Xuoyan and Su Yuntang both said that the responsibility lies with them. Zhang Dan is so kind and it is difficult for them to refuse. Xylin likes to show off her strength. If Shang Xuoyan and Su Yuntang don't refuse, she certainly won't be able to refuse. Zhang Shuo wanted to refuse. He was still looking like a bear. Instead of leaving, he might as well stay and let private doctors take a good look at him. The abacus clicked so loudly that it was heard in outer space. Evil capitalist. I'm fine. What's funny is that in the silence, Gu Huiyan grinned and sang along with Zhang Dan, saying that he was totally fine. Puff. At that time, some people laughed. Shang Xuoyan raised her jade hand and slapped him several times with a look of disgust and weakness, saying, Of course you're fine, you're not poisoned by fungi. He he he. Everyone was also amused by Gu Huiyan's straightforwardness, but Gu Huiyan said honestly, I mean, I have no problem taking care of you. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Yes, if everyone goes back, each one will be weaker than the other. If Pei Jingshu is not on the scene, it seems that Gu Huiyan will really have to take care of the four of them. They were all here to record the show. No one had the responsibility to take care of others, but Gu Huiyan didn't complain at all, which was a bit surprising. For example, the actor Su feels a little embarrassed now because he was always hostile to Gu Huiyan before, and even cooperated with Zhang Shuo to suppress him on several occasions. But Gu Huiyan not only didn't care, he was the first to rush into his room and carry him downstairs last night, and planned to take care of them in the future. The actor Su was deeply moved. The others were also deeply moved. There is no sincerity in the entertainment industry, but there are always some honest and sincere people that make it impossible for people to have any ill will towards them. Although they were a little reluctant, the guests finally agreed to go back to the Crystal Courtyard with Zhang Dan to continue the recording. After all, their program focuses on daily life, and there are no games that require physical exertion. Even if it is just messing around in a small yard, it can be recorded for a day. Delaying recording will also have an impact on their income. What's more, the popularity of the program is very high now, and everyone is relying on the popularity of the program to gain exposure. Their fungus poisoning has been on the top of the hot search list for half a day, and the benefits of going back to record at this time are actually more. It's all for the benefit of both parties. On Zhang Shuo's side, Zhang Shuo's assistant kept objecting to going back to record. He said righteously that he would take Zhang Shuo back for a thorough checkup and that the program team should be responsible. At this time, Zhang Dan directly pressured him with the contract, saying that if it didn't work, he would break the contract and go through the legal process. At the worst, we would pay you for delaying work, and you would pay us liquidated damages. In fact, it's quite different. Assistant Zhang Shuo thought about it and realized that the other guests had agreed. Zhang Shuo himself had been delayed for several jobs due to poisoning, and to break up with them again would indeed be a bit outweighing the gains and losses. So I had to compromise. Hey, Gu Huiyan. Shang Zuoyan and Gu Huiyan sat relatively close to each other. Although she had been fooling around with Gu Huiyan, she actually couldn't muster any strength, and her delicate face like a doll was full of weakness. What? Gu Huiyan, whose clothes were being pulled, couldn't help but turn his head to look at Shang Zuoyan. When Gu Huiyan looked over, Shang Zuoyan hesitated for a moment, and then asked him in a slightly coquettish tone. If I can't walk when I go back, will you carry me? She was actually teasing Gu Huiyan right now. Whisper. She thought, this was an opportunity for Gu Huiyan to take care of her. Didn't he rub Sister Xilan's feet? Then he could definitely take care of herself. She's not pretending to be weak, isn't there a saying that says? Girls who can act like a spoiled brat are the best. With more physical contact, wouldn't there be feelings? If you want to get Pei Jingshi's corner, you have to put in some effort, and she still understands this. However, looking at her expectant expression, Gu Huiyan's expression remained unchanged, and he even calmly said in a disgusting tone. Damn clip, die for me. The corners of Shang Zuoyan's mouth twitched, and black lines appeared on her forehead. Gu Huiyan. Why the hell is he so invulnerable? By the way, she was also speechless about how the two of them became happy enemies. Okay. In this way, everyone was forced to leave the hospital and return to Crystal Hospital that night. However, there was no recording that night. After returning home, Zhang Dan comforted the guests for a while. He visited each guest's room, took gifts, chatted and got close to each other, making sure that every guest had no complaints, and then he was relieved about tomorrow's performance. Recording. Well. Zhang Dan, who was very tired after running around, sighed silently, then went to the guest room and found Gu Huiyan, who was sitting idle in the guest room spraying pesticides, and said, if you ever do such dangerous work for me again, you will see how I deal with you. In fact, the root cause of this matter is that Gu Huiyan had to go to the mountain with Ayao and his uncle to collect mushrooms. Just tell me how much trouble can be caused by picking fungi. Xilan sprained her foot and the guests were collectively poisoned. It was almost impossible to continue recording their show. In other words, nothing big happened to these guests. If something went wrong, the responsibility would be huge. This is a group of top-notch people. Okay. Gu Huiyan doesn't contradict Mother Zhang. What I'm saying is that the boss is really not a human being. So when the audience loves the popularity of the show, when it comes to the effect of the program, you don't say anything, but when something goes wrong, you go to Gu Huiyan. Zhang Dan didn't really scold him, it was just a warning. How is your songwriting for Shang Zuoyan going? Zhang Dan asked casually. I haven't had time to do it yet. Gu Huiyan didn't even raise his head. He was in the middle of a team fight, and it was useless even if the boss came. Seeing his unreliable look, Zhang Dan felt like his heart was broken. But then again, although Gu Huiyan always seemed unreliable, he never seemed to disappoint anyone. As Zhang Dan is busy with his own affairs, it would be better to leave the matter of urging him to write songs to his new assistant Zhang Nuan. Tonight, Crystal Love season has no hot topics except for the collective poisoning of guests. It's off the air. This is probably the only time in the few days since the show aired that there has not been a single trending topic. It is worth mentioning that at a later date, the program team issued a dynamic official announcement on the official accounts of each platform, stating that the guests were fine and recording would resume tomorrow. One stone stirs up 1,000 waves. Countless fans are worried about their own country. Last night, a few of Zhang Shuo's crazy fans even bought plane tickets and flew over overnight to visit him. The news from the program team was released at this time, which really made some die-hard fans breathe a sigh of relief. This shows that their family's solution is not a serious problem, which is of course a good thing. But then, a large group of brainless fans emerged from the moral high ground and madly attacked and condemned the program crew, saying that the guests were poisoned and you still ask them to record. You really don't eat people. I haven't asked you to take responsibility for the poisoning, and you still have to record the show. Don't your show crews have a lot of heart? There may indeed be some fans of Shang Zuoyan and Zhang Shuo here, but in fact there are also many rivals and tempestuous sailors who are stirring up trouble. Crystal Love season has been extremely popular since it was aired. Naturally, there will be jealous people who want to discredit it and come online here. Zhang Dan didn't reply, let alone suppress the popularity. One thing she knew very well was that once their program was launched tomorrow morning, the traffic would be even more terrifying than the previous few days. The traffic era is so ironic, even if a guest is poisoned and injured, it can become a gimmick. The next day. A rare sunny day. Aha! Gu Huiyan got up very early, getting up at 7 o'clock. Isn't this because the other guests have been poisoned? He should at least be more conscious. Even if there are staff and private doctors who do not need him to serve everyone, he should at least express his attitude. Gu Lao 6. When the show started airing, the first shot was of Gu Huiyan. The barrages started popping up one after another. I haven't seen you for a day and I miss you so much. It's all your fault that you, old man, insist on picking some fungi. If anything goes wrong in my country, I will fight with your life. Zhang Shuo, fat tiger, save me. Pht, brother, you understand the meaning. Just as Zhang Dan expected, as soon as the show was launched, the traffic skyrocketed. The number of people online at the same time reached hundreds of thousands in just a few minutes, and it continues to grow. It's so hot. Gu Huiyan yawned, saying that the temperature in Yunnan is a bit harsh. It rained 2 days ago and it was a bit chilly. This morning, it started to feel a bit hot in the house. Gu Huiyan picked up his phone and took a look at the nonsense weather forecast. Well, the highest temperature today is 31 degrees. What about the promise of spring all year round? Although they were a little weak, Xilin, Shang Zuoyan, Su Yuntang, and Zhang Shuo didn't get up too late. They were probably used to getting up early and were self-disciplined and had developed a biological clock. At most, they gathered on the first floor around 7:30. How are you? Gu Huiyan looked at Shang Zuoyan who looked weak and couldn't help but ask. It's okay. You don't have to carry me anyway, so don't worry. Now when I think back to yesterday when Gu Huiyan called him Shang Zuoyan, he can't help but roll his eyes. What do you want for breakfast? Gu Huiyan asked Shang Zuoyan in a low voice. Sausage. Get out of here. Shang Zuoyan was so angry that Gu Huiyan, the bastard, felt that she was really familiar with her and was just making fun of her. By the way, although they all looked quite weak, the guests were still dressed very brightly. Just look at Shang Zuoyan, even though she is too lazy to dress up because of her physical weakness, She still wears a hot tight white vest paired with a grey pleated skirt. The heavy Seongdakshin was carried in the vest, and the fleshy legs were so nakedly exposed in the air, which was quite eye-catching. Makeup and hair online. Today's hairstyle is meatball head. Double balls. The amount of hair was terrible, and a single ball was too big, so I had to use two balls. Looking at her round head, Gu Huiyan couldn't help but curiously asked. Did you see the meatballs when you were poisoned the night before yesterday? 6 meatballs. Shangzhuoyan, pen. You want to die, don't you Gu Huiyan? Early in the morning, the crystal courtyard was filled with Shangzhuoyan's roar. Listening to the voice, it was full of energy, and it didn't sound like Yazi who was weak due to poisoning. He. The mature sister Xylin was sitting on the side and laughing. She was sitting on the sofa and her hand just happened to touch a box of something. When I picked it up and looked at it, I couldn't help but stare. That turned out to be a box. Plaster. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 108. It was a box of plasters that looked ordinary, but the problem was that such plasters should not appear at the show recording site. Most celebrities rarely wear plasters even if they are injured. Not only is it unsightly, many plasters also have a very strange smell. It may not smell bad, but celebrities and entertainers should smell of high-end cosmetics and perfumes, not the cheap smell of plasters. Where did you get the plaster? Xylin picked it up and looked at it, and asked curiously. Everyone heard the sound and looked over. I bought it. At this time, Gu Huiyan took the initiative to admit it. Did you buy it? After hearing this, everyone looked at Gu Huiyan, and Gu Huiyan pointed at Xylin's injured foot and said. I bought this for Sister Xylin. Didn't she have a sprained ankle? The day before yesterday, Gu Huiyan saw the treatment that the staff had done for Xylin, and felt that the symptoms were being treated rather than the root cause. He thought that people in his family usually used plasters when they had sprains, so when he came back from recording a song, he stopped at a nearby hospital for treatment. Waner. Speaking of which, thanks to this thing the day before yesterday, if Gu Huiyan hadn't come back upstairs to deliver plaster to Sister Xylin, God knows when they would have discovered they were poisoned by fungi. Puff. Everyone laughed at that time. Should I say it or not, this guy Gu Huiyan is real. The audience expressed. Do you think the staff would not think of using plaster? This stuff works, but it's unsightly and smells bad. My dad has a bad neck when driving and often sticks on this stuff. Everything in the house, from clothes to quilts, from the living room to the bedroom, smells like plaster. My grandma is old and has a bad waist, and her body smells like plaster all day long. But then again, this seems to be something that Gu Huiyan would buy. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x5. If you say that other celebrities buy plasters, everyone will be surprised. But if Gu Huiyan bought it, to be honest, no one would be surprised now. This is an artist who has used toilet water and wind oil essence, showed off potato chips, and drank Coca-Cola. You can't compare him with normal artists. He. Su Yuntang shook his head. He said to himself that Xiao Gu is really honest and honest. How many celebrities and artists have you seen who have sprains and plasters on them? Yes, maybe Xylin will use his toilet water and fenjujing, because those things really work, and even if they have a smell, they are not particularly pungent. But he didn't think Xylin would use this plaster. On the one hand, it smelled strong, and on the other hand, it was attached to the foot, so it could be seen at any time in such a conspicuous position. But just when Su Yuntang was thinking this, from the corner of his eye, he suddenly caught a glimpse of Xylin sitting on the sofa not far away. She actually opened the box containing the plaster, tore open the bag inside, and took out a patch of plaster. Suyuntang. Everyone in Suyuntang was numb at that time. Siren really wants to put on plaster? What the hell? You know, from the moment the plaster was taken out, those sitting nearby could already smell the smell. Musk, camphor, borneol, menthol, the smells of these traditional Chinese medicines are inherently strong, and they are so close together that although they are not unpleasant, they are really pungent, as if they are trying to cover up all other smells. Originally, because there are a group of celebrities and entertainers in the guest room, and everyone uses high-end cosmetics and perfumes. When combined together, the smell is not bad. The smell of toilet water and fenjujing that Gu Huiyan used the day before yesterday has almost disappeared. In the morning, before Gu Huiyan had time to make breakfast, there was no other smell. At this time, suddenly a plaster was taken out. Just like the imperial decree, the smell attracted everyone's attention. What does it smell like? The memory of the dead is attacking Shang's Huiyan. Xiao Yema wants to say, my grandma smelled like this when I was a kid. She knew about this thing, but she had never put it on before. She often sprained her ankle while dancing, and the doctor told her not to put it on. The smell was so bad that she, Shang's Huiyan, would not put it on even if she died. Thing. Even Zhang Shuo couldn't help but be attracted by the smell. Speaking of which, Zhang Shuo has been in a daze since he woke up this morning. It seems that after waking up this morning, he saw his embarrassment yesterday and also saw some hot searches on the internet. He must have lived in Bengbu. Like Shang's Huiyan, he is an idol who follows the popular route. Such a person cares about image the most. How can he accept such a social death scene where his personality has collapsed? It is said that he was autistic for a time in the morning. He. On the other hand, the mature sister Xylin, holding the plaster in one of her slender hands, was not afraid of the smell of the plaster getting on her hands, but looked at it happily. You're so considerate. She glanced at Gu Huiyan from a distance, smiled and nodded. Maybe she's a little weak. Today, the mature sister didn't dress up in any special way. She just wore a simple floral skirt, which was long and not very afraid of being exposed. Her big waves are scattered casually, and her whole body exudes the charm of a mature woman with intellectual elegance. It should. Gu Huiyan nodded, took a glass of water and drank. Sister Xylin, you don't really want to post this, do you? Shang's Huiyan asked. Don't talk about her, the audience is also very curious, and now the barrage is floating. Fart. My goddess can post this thing? Are you kidding? Brother, you haven't eaten the 3 pounds of xiang you had last time. Ha ha ha. Probably everyone thinks that Sister Xylin will not use this plaster. When the cameras showed Xylin, the mature sister smiled and said nothing, and indeed stuffed the plaster back into the box. Call. Everyone was shocked. Some people really thought that Siren would use this plaster. Fortunately, she didn't. The actor Su was also shocked, he was really afraid of Xylin using it. But before everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. Let me go for a while. The mature sister Xylin actually sat up with her hands on the sofa, then waved to her staff to help her go to the unoccupied room next door. Go, put on a plaster. Walk. What's the situation? Do you really want to post it? Goddess. How can you post this thing? A lot of people broke the defense in the comment area. After a long time of commotion, Xylin didn't stop posting it, but temporarily put it away and went to the next room to post it. There are all guests in this guest room, and they are in front of the camera. Where can I take off my shoes and apply plaster here? Outrageous. Not polite either. She also wants image. But the problem is, she wants to have an image, but she puts on plaster. Don't you think there's some contrast? This. Everyone in Suyuntang was numb. He stared at Xylan's back with his eyes wide open. To be honest, he felt that he didn't know Xylan more and more. He still didn't quite understand why Xylan could always get involved in the village-style things that Gu Huiyan did, and she didn't dislike them at all, and even enjoyed them. Is this still the Siren he knew? Is this still the Siren he likes? So has Siren changed, or has he never really understood Siren for so many years? Anyway. At this moment, Su Yuntang's worldview collapsed again. When Xylan actually finished applying the plaster and walked back from the next room, everyone looked at the plaster on her foot with mixed expressions. Needless to say, the smell of this plaster is really strong. Xylan smelled quite good just now. She is a red carpet goddess, and the cosmetics and perfumes she uses are almost the highest quality in the industry. But at this moment, the rogue smell of the plaster arbitrarily washed away and covered up all the fragrance on her body, so that soon only the musk, camphor, borneol, menthol on the plaster remained on her body, the kind of smell that comes from the combination of pungent Chinese medicinal materials. It's over. When the cameras showed the plaster on Xylan's ankle, some fans had already collapsed. I really can't imagine that my goddess smells like my grandma. Gu Huiyan. Why do you want to buy this thing for my goddess, you idiot? You clearly know that my goddess has a character that won't refuse. Gu Huiyan. Labor and management are at odds with you, OMG. I never understood why fans of Pei Jingshu's family always reported to Gu Huiyan online. Okay, I don't need to understand now, just join in. Gu Huiyan, you uncle. You, beep beep beep. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x5. Gu Huiyan received another system notification, and the one he received was a bit nonsensical. Why did it include continuous critical hits? In fact, we can't blame everyone for scolding Gu Huiyan this time. Can you imagine that your goddess, a glamorous female star, smells the same as your grandma and grandpa? I dare not think about it. The filter is broken. All three perspectives have collapsed. It shouldn't be. How did that happen? The reason for everything is Gu Huiyan. Why on earth did he buy plaster for Xylan? If he didn't buy it, how could Xylan post it? Needless to say, many things in this show are rooted in Gu Huiyan, especially the fungus incident the day before yesterday. This kid is simply the source of all evil. The problem is that he can do it by himself, and he has to bring others with him to do it. Look at how Sister Xylan has been treated by him. She is wearing toilet water, wind oil essence, and applying plasters. No one can even imagine the smell of such a good red carpet goddess. In fact, I don't have to imagine anything. Yes, maybe Xylan did wear plaster, but it is definitely unlikely that she smells like an old person. The plaster mixed with the smell of perfume and cosmetics on her body is actually not very bad. But the taste does stand out a bit. Do you feel it? Gu Huiyan didn't feel anything was wrong, but instead asked Xylan. It's refreshing and cool, pretty good. The mature sister smiled lightly. In fact, Gu Huiyan is a more pragmatic person. No one wants to wear plaster, and everyone thinks it tastes too bad. But the question is, can the injury be cured if you don't wear it? People nowadays don't know why. They care about their image, appearance, taste all day long. Especially those energetic young men who have their ankles exposed even in the middle of winter. Their heads are full of donkey dung and they don't know what they are thinking. Besides, it doesn't look good. Gu Huiyan will never understand those people who wear only a pair of pants instead of long johns in autumn and winter, and still walk on the red carpet with their legs exposed in the middle of winter. Maybe he had never walked on the red carpet. Gu Huiyan thought that if he attended any formal events and walked on the red carpet in the future, he would definitely wear a down jacket in the winter. At that time, I will harvest a wave of system points. By the way, well, it's a pleasure. To be honest, The guests were a bit disgusted by the smell of the plaster. If only Gu Huiyan bought it, or if Gu Huiyan used it himself, don't Chang Zuoyan talk about it and make him sick to death. But who told Sister Xylin to use it? The mature Sister Xylin puts on plaster. Who will say that she shouldn't put it on? Who dares to dislike her? My sister is a red carpet goddess. She wears plastic bags on red carpets, and those plastic bags sell out of stock. It was getting late, and as the guests all got up, the staff of the program team brought them breakfast. The recording of the program must require the guests to be self-sufficient, but this is not because Su Yuntang and Xylin are not in good health due to fungus poisoning. Naturally, the program team cannot let them do it on their own. We can count on Gu Huiyan, but the food this old six eats is weird, either soy pot noodles or braised beef instant noodles. Yesterday in the hospital morning, he even went out and bought a pancake and ate fruit. Is it realistic to expect these celebrities to eat with him? Su Yuntang and the others have small appetites, and their stomachs are not feeling well after eating fungus poisoning. The staff made porridge for them, so they would eat something like these 2 days. Ah, there's going to be a bird in my mouth. Shang Zuoyan kept complaining and said, I'm already like this, why don't I let others eat something good? She originally thought that since she had been poisoned by fungi these past few days and needed to rest, she could be lazy and not practice dancing, and she could also use the excuse of being poisoned and needing to replenish herself to eat something good. Who knows how to eat this stuff? Her manager Han Li gave her a big eye roll, saying you are thinking shit. Besides, you've been poisoned by bacteria and your stomach is bad. I'll give you a few pieces of meat, can you digest it after eating it? Speaking of which, she was delayed here for a while because of Shang Zuoyan, but it was just in time. Maybe she could listen to the song Gu Huiyan wrote for Shang Zuoyan. She had high hopes for this song. They quoted a price. Not low. Thinking of Gu Huiyan, Han Li couldn't help but look for Gu Huiyan in the living room. After searching for a long time, I couldn't find anyone. Looking outside, I realized that Gu Huiyan had gone to the kitchen. Think about it, among the 5 guests except Gu Huiyan, all of them were poisoned by fungus, and the staff were waiting for breakfast. He, Gu Huiyan, was fine, so he naturally had to provide his own breakfast. Not only Han Li, but others also noticed Gu Huiyan, who ran to the kitchen to make breakfast. It's not that they want to pay attention, but Gu Huiyan's breakfast is always a bit unique. Just look at his breakfast a few days ago. It was either hot pot noodles or braised beef instant noodles. So far, he hasn't brought the same thing. They were naturally curious about what Gu Huiyan was going to do this morning. Maybe he knew that breakfast was a highlight of Gu Huiyan's program, so the camera was also given to Gu Huiyan at this time. At this time, in the kitchen, Gu Huiyan was cleaning with a basin and a whisk. Then I found an unopened bag of flour. Speaking of which, maybe because the guests are all celebrities and entertainers, they almost never eat pasta, so the bag of flour has not yet been opened. The noodles were originally unopened, so they had to be opened by Gu Huiyan. He opened a hole in the flour and poured some into the basin. The amount was not too much. Then Gu Huiyan walked to the faucet carrying the egg beater and flour basin. Pattering. Receive water. While doing so, beat the flour with a whisk. When you think it's almost done, stop the water first. After stirring for a while, you feel that the water is not enough, so you add a little more. Finally, Gu Huiyan used a whisk and water to stir the flour into a very thin batter. The barrage was full of question marks. What is he going to do? What kind of batter do you make so early in the morning? What is it? When he poured the flour just now, some people speculated that he was going to make a pot of pimple soup, but how could the batter used for this pimple soup be so thin? There's no way this can be formed, right? They really couldn't guess what Gu Huiyan was going to do. Gu Huiyan didn't mean to explain. This was a romance show, not a food show. He just silently took the whipped batter to the stove, and then found an electric baking pan. Plug it in. Hot pan. Brush it with a little oil and heat it up before pouring the batter in. Then pick up the electric baking pan and shake it back and forth until the batter evenly covers every corner of the flat surface of the electric baking pan. A round pancake appears in front of the camera. Couldn't this be? Some viewers felt that this pancake looked very familiar and couldn't help but make some guesses. And what Gu Huiyan did was verifying their guesses step by step. When the batter was evenly spread on every corner of the electric baking pan, Gu Huiyan took out an egg from the cabinet. After thinking about it, he thought it might not be enough, so he took out another egg. Cracked 2 eggs on the already formed dough, and used chopsticks to spread some of them, spreading them evenly over every part of the dough. Then I found a bottle filled with black sesame seeds from the place where the seasonings were placed, and sprinkled some black sesame seeds. When the dough was completely formed, he found a spatula, used it with his chopsticks, picked up both sides of the dough, and flipped it over. Snapped. His face was completely turned over. The barrage was flooding at this time. You're totally blind if you can't figure out what you're doing. Ha ha ha, you really have your gulalu. You still know how to eat, brother. I'm not telling you he's making waffles. Brother, you know how to be a troublemaker. In fact, as long as Gu Huiyan has achieved this, anyone who is not blind will know that he is making pancakes and fruit. This technique is very skillful. One Jiu even said, Gu Huiyan, you are indeed a big man from Shandong, and the way you make pancakes is as if it is engraved in your DNA. Speaking of which, he really deserves to be Gu Huiyan. A few days ago, there were soy pot noodles and braised beef instant noodles, followed by eggs, fried dough sticks, and tofu. Are you going to serve pancakes and fruits today? It's time to work, stay here. Only. Some people can't help but wonder, let's just say, don't pancakes require fried dough sticks? What do you call pancakes without oil dough sticks? Yashao. Wok yashao. Soon, someone remembered. Didn't Gu Huiyan buy 2 kilograms of fried dough sticks the day before yesterday? The morning before yesterday, he showed off a little by mixing cucumber and fried dough sticks for lunch. Even with the 2 kilograms of fried dough sticks, he didn't finish it at all. As expected. When Gu Huiyan finished brushing the sauce on the dough, he immediately turned around and ran to the refrigerator to take out a pack of unfinished fried dough sticks he bought the day before yesterday. Snapped. Spread a handful onto the dough with the sauce. Thank you for being the leader of Ergo Wawa. Hey friends, it's not that I don't want to thank you. There are too many people and I can't even code the words. This thing has to be typed by hand. I think writing well and updating more is the best reward for everyone, so I'd better update more and not fix the fictitious ones. I would like to thank all the friends who have given rewards, voted for monthly votes, and recommended votes. I will sort it out when I have time later. I really appreciate everyone's support. Alagaduemi Yanjiang saying. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 109. Puff. Many viewers laughed at that time and said, Gu Huiyan, you really know how to live your life. You are so virtuous, whoever marries you will be so happy. No need to interrupt, I'm just saying, can this thing still be eaten after being stored for 2 or 3 days? I can see that none of you have ever eaten fried dough sticks that have been stored for several days. My fried dough sticks can be eaten as long as they are not hard. Brother, you are real. You won't install a camera in my house, right? Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x5. The system reminded Gu Huiyan. No one would have expected that this mediocre fried dough sticks would have a third plot after cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks. Speaking of which, this fried dough stick has indeed seen its time. The fried dough sticks that Gu Huiyan bought when he got up early the day before yesterday were left out for a day. Yesterday, the guests were poisoned by fungi. They were in the hospital all day and were left out for another day. Today is already the third day. Generally speaking, you can't eat anything that has been left for 1 or 2 days. Even if you don't talk about celebrities who don't eat leftovers, normal people may not eat things that have been left for 2 or 3 days. So they wonder, can this thing still be eaten? At this time, some people will give them some popular science. In fact, fried food can generally be stored for a long time. Most families will forget about fried dough sticks after buying them. Their criterion for judging whether the fried dough sticks can still be eaten is just hard or not. If it becomes hard, it will definitely be impossible to eat. If you don't put it hard, you can just soak it in soup and eat it as you like. Gu Huiyan saw that the fried dough sticks were not hard when he put them on the pancake, so they were definitely still edible. However, after eating this meal, you must not eat another meal, and the remaining food must be thrown away. If you eat it again, you will really go wrong. Speaking of which, Gu Huiyan had done a lot of work with fried dough sticks, but in fact there were not many left. In fact, Gu Huiyan was a little helpless. He had originally planned to buy it the day before yesterday and eat it yesterday. These fried dough sticks can not only be used to make pancakes and fruit, but can even be used to make dumplings. Who would have thought that Sister Xylin and the others suddenly got poisoned by eating fungi, and after a day's delay, it was good to be able to eat this morning. Okay, it's worth it. Gu Huiyan said that these fried dough sticks had contributed 3 waves of points to him. They were cucumber mixed with fried dough sticks and pancakes with fruit. It was considered a mission accomplished. Gu Huiyan felt no psychological burden from thinking like this, so he tried to stuff as many pancakes as possible into the pancakes he spread out in front of him, so as not to waste them. Sprinkle with chopped green onion, close the dough, and use a spatula to poke the middle of the dough sticks a few times, turning them over like this. Hey! This pancake fruit is ready to go. Don't tell me, the pancakes Gu Huiyan sells are really authentic, both in appearance and taste. When the cameras showed them, I thought they were sold outside. Just didn't put coriander. You definitely can't let it go. In Gu Huiyan's world, coriander should be extinct and should not appear in this world. As soon as it was done, Gu Huiyan couldn't wait to take a bite. He nodded with satisfaction. This pancake had an extra egg and a few fried dough sticks. It was big, tender, and delicious. The pancake fruit I bought at the hospital entrance yesterday didn't even have a few fried dough sticks in it, but it was also very expensive. MD is a rip-off. At that time, Gu Huiyan wanted to come back and make it himself. You see, if we sell it ourselves, why don't we sell it outside? Add whatever you want. But having said that, it seems that this pancake is not suitable for adding too many things. Gu Huiyan even thinks that adding ham is not suitable, so he just eats the taste of dough, eggs, fried dough sticks, chopped green onions and bean paste. Typical. Of course, there's nothing wrong with adding some shredded potatoes. After taking a bite, Gu Huiyan put the pancakes aside temporarily, and then went over to wash the pots and basins. Gu Huiyan almost never leaves anything behind when doing things. He always washes everything he uses. It can be regarded as a bit of obsessive-compulsive disorder. He is used to finishing things and eating them steadily. This habit has been unanimously recognized by everyone. In life, in the kitchen, I actually really resent those people who keep their tails on everything they do. They leave things unclean here and there, and they have to ask others to clean up for them all day long. It's very disgusting. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering the hidden mission. Gu Huiyan, who had almost finished cleaning up, turned around and saw, what a good guy, here comes a hidden mission. Speaking of which, Gu Huiyan had triggered several hidden missions before, and he had given him all kinds of strange things. The last time he even gave him something, chopsticks for his hair. I don't know what to give this time. Just as Gu Huiyan was thinking about it, the system notified him again. Hidden mission reward, game understanding add 10,086. Gu Huiyan. What the hell is game understanding? This is entertainment, isn't it? Not an esports article. Make a game to understand why you are kidding me. Alright. Gu Huiyan held his forehead silently. He even had chopsticks in his hair. How could he understand this game? It's just that Gu Huiyan is a little helpless because this so-called game understanding doesn't include much, only one king that he often fights. You are so kind to me. Gu Huiyan couldn't help but smile bitterly. Knowing that he loved to spray pesticides, he simply sent him the game understanding, 666. Gu Huiyan didn't think much about it. Just understanding the game was better than nothing. Holding his pancakes and a glass of water, he ran to the restaurant to eat. When Gu Huiyan passed by, the guests were also eating. It is worth mentioning that everyone ate slowly and slowly, looking very civilized. Maybe it was due to fungus poisoning. Most of the guests had a bowl of porridge in their hands. The restaurant was filled with the smell of porridge and the smell of the plaster on Xilan's feet. Well. The mature sister silently held her forehead and gave a wry smile, thinking that she might as well expose it later when she gets a chance. She didn't want to refute Gu Huiyan's good intentions, but the smell affected everyone too much. Take it off and put it on again at night, so it won't affect others. She is still very understanding of people's clothing. At this time, Gu Huiyan walked over holding his extra large pancake fruit. Ah! Just go up and take a big bite? Just now, everyone was curious about what kind of work he did for breakfast. Now when they saw the pancakes and fruit in his hand, everyone was confused for a moment. No. Where did the pancake fruit come from? Shang Xuan had one big eye and one small eye. When she looked at Gu Huiyan, she wanted to look at a monster. Don't tell me you spread it yourself. What if? While Gu Huiyan was chewing pancakes and fruit, he answered Shang Xuan inarticulately. Do you still have this skill? Little Mustang's doll-like face was filled with disbelief. At this time, the actor Su suddenly asked. Where did these fried dough sticks come from? I didn't remember that Gu Huiyan went out in the morning. Where did the fried dough sticks he used to spread pancakes and fruits come from? The morning before yesterday. Gu Huiyan answered calmly. At that time, question marks appeared on the faces of the guests. Well, the long-running fuss was about the fried dough sticks from the day before yesterday. MD, this guy bought the fried dough sticks once and had them done 3 times. What the hell? This has been stored for 2 days, can it still be eaten? Zhang Shuo asked. Okay. Gu Huiyan took a big bite and said. Put it in the refrigerator and it won't taste bad. If you eat it cleanly, you won't get sick. Zhang Shuo opened his mouth to say something, but couldn't say anything in the end. How to put it, in his world, food like fried dough sticks might be like poison, let alone fried dough sticks that have been stored for 2 days. Celebrities rarely eat leftovers. Experts say overnight meals are harmful to health. The mature sister Xilan smiled softly. To be honest, this pancake fruit seems simple, but ordinary people can't understand it. Otherwise, why are there so many videos of plainclothes policemen making pancakes on the internet? Looking at the alternating yellow and white pancakes sprinkled with black sesame seeds in Gu Huiyan's hand, he imagined the flavors of eggs, fried dough sticks, sauce, green onions, etc. mixed together to burst out on his taste buds. Look at the millet porridge that fades out of sight in front of you. Shang Xuan suddenly felt that the porridge in front of her was no longer fragrant. Her red lips pursed slightly and she shouted. I want to eat too. Can you eat it? Gu Huiyan glanced at her with concern. In fact, there were still some fried dough sticks left this morning, and Gu Huiyan also thought about spreading out a pancake and fruit for each of them, but wasn't this because they were collectively poisoned by fungi and had bad gastrointestinal problems? Everyone had porridge early in the morning. Even if he made pancakes and fruit for them, they wouldn't eat it, right? So Gu Huiyan simply didn't ask. Of course, on the other hand, the reason is that the fried dough sticks have been out for 2 days. He is afraid that he will be susceptible to fungus poisoning if he eats these. If he eats these, he will get sick and end up in the hospital. Yesterday, Mother Zhang told him not to do any dangerous work again. Gu Huiyan thought that he should be more honest. At this moment, Shang Xuan suddenly wanted to eat, which caught Gu Huiyan off guard. Yes, Gu Huiyan's pancake and fruit stall is huge, so he could tear some to Shang Xuan, but the question is, has she eaten it? No. Isn't this? Shang Xuan's agent Han Li sternly stopped her, saying, you greedy man, please stop eating to your death at this time. She didn't even say whether it was healthy or not, whether it was fat or not. She just asked, can you digest it now? Ah, I don't care, I don't care. Shang Xuan fluttered her 2 jade arms and acted wildly, and her 2 long and dazzling beautiful legs were shaking back and forth. The heavy Xiong almost fainted from her. At this time, she looked like a little girl who loved to have a bad temper and act like a spoiled brat. She even made such bold statements. I will eat my fill before I die. It caused a burst of laughter. In the end, she still didn't eat Gu Huiyan's pancake fruit. There is no other way, her life is important, and her stomach can only eat something light now. Gu Huiyan also laughed and teased her and asked. By the way, did you see the pancake fruit the night before yesterday? As soon as these words came out. Puff. Many viewers couldn't help but laugh and said, Gu Huiyan, you're such a bastard, why don't you expose other people's scars? Creak. Little Yaya was so angry that he wanted to chop Gu Huiyan into pieces and feed him to go. Don't let me catch you making a fool of yourself, she hit the sofa angrily. Speaking of which, she felt that her weak appearance today was really annoying Gu Huiyan. When Gu Huiyan teased her, she couldn't catch up with him and hit him. Look at his unscrupulous and mean look. I don't know if it was intentional or not. When Gu Huiyan was eating pancakes and fruits, he felt that something was missing, so he ran to the kitchen to get the boiled chili oil and smeared a lot of it on the pancakes and fruits in front of Zhang Shuo. It smells good. Every bite is fragrant. The corners of Zhang Shuo's mouth twitched crazily as he watched. I feel like Gu Huiyan did it on purpose, but he has no evidence. Finish breakfast. The staff will take care of it. The guests had nothing to do and planned to read a book and soak up the sun. Probably because he felt a little weak, actor Su Yuntang took a short break shortly after breakfast and called his assistant to bring his tea set and tea leaves. Make a pot of tea and drink it. He doesn't care about the taste or style anymore. Xylan still smells like plaster, and the place where Gu Huiyan is sitting still smells like his pancakes and fruit. He doesn't care about these anymore. He just wanted to drink some tea and take some time off. Tea nourishes people. Making a pot of tea and drinking it when you are feeling unwell is good for your health. Tea can restore some of the qi in your essence and spirit. Let's all have tea. After the assistant brought the tea set and tea leaves, Su Yuntang boiled a pot of water and once again performed his classic tea art technique in front of the camera. Many viewers who watched it called the expert Bikla 666. What I brewed today was not Da Hong Pao, but Westlake Longjing, which is also a famous tea. To nourish qi, it is appropriate to drink some green tea. Today's method is not the Kung Fu tea brewing method. It seems to mean that Westlake Longjing is not suitable for brewing in the Kung Fu tea brewing method. But it seems quite complicated, troublesome and delicate. It is worth mentioning that Gu Huiyan did not do any work today, nor did he go out to buy anything, which made Su Yuntang deeply gratified. At least I no longer have to be disgusted by his nonsense about foot bathing, iced tea, and toilet water. Su Yuntang was thinking like this. Quack. At the top of the stairs, Gu Huiyan walked down on flip-flops. He seemed to have gone upstairs to get his cell phone just now. I have nothing to do in the morning. I will spray pesticides for a while and experience the game understanding of the hidden task rewards given by the system. Xiaogu, come and have tea. Su Yuntang also warmly invited Gu Huiyan to have tea. Speaking of it, since Gu Huiyan carried him downstairs to save half his life the day before yesterday, he felt that he had some colored glasses towards Gu Huiyan before. This young man was actually quite honest and treated him well. My attitude is also much better. Okay. When Gu Huiyan passed by, Su Yuntang had just made tea. The teacup was small and there wasn't much tea in it. Gu Huiyan drank it in one sip, and it didn't feel like it was enough to drink. By the way, there wasn't much tea in Su Yuntang's little teapot. He made it in a teacup. How much water could be put in the teacup? Not too happy to drink. Gu Huiyan glanced around and saw some larger cups in the cabinet, so he simply walked over. He casually took out a cup that was about the same size and depth as the cups used for drinking draft beer outside. Pattering. I ran to the kitchen, turned on the faucet, rinsed it, and then wiped it clean. Then he returned to the guest room. Why did you go? Shang Zuoyan stared at Gu Huiyan with a suspicious look on her face, always feeling that this kid was eating secretly behind her back. However, Gu Huiyan silently placed the big cup on the table, and then asked Su Yuntang. Can I have some tea, brother? Su Yuntang was stunned, looking at the cup that Gu Huiyan placed in front of him, which might be used for drinking draft beer outside. He looked confused and his eyes were messy. For a moment, he was speechless and didn't know what to say. Puff. At this time, the audience watching the show next door were already laughing. Gulalu, don't tell me that you plan to use this for tea. Ha ha, ha ha ha, I knew you would have to work hard once Su Yuntang makes tea. Su Yuntang sat up in the middle of the night. No, is there something wrong with him? Ha ha ha, you have a grudge against my male god, Gu Huiyan. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x5. System points are credited to your account. It is clear. Does Gu Huiyan want to use this, a cup as big as it is for drinking draft beer outside, to brew Su Yuntang's Westlake Longjing, which costs thousands of dollars a pound? This made the audience laugh crazy. But having said that, you actually have to let people say that they really seem to like this way of drinking tea by brewing it in a cup. In fact, few normal people actually use tea trays, tea sets, etc. when drinking tea at home in private. It is considered to be particular to brew tea in a teapot and drink it directly in a teacup. When we drink tea every day, we usually take a cup, put some tea leaves in it, pour hot water into it, and drink it after a short steeping. Who has the leisure and elegance to soak here slowly, sipping and sipping moisturizing drinks? Then the tea that the farmer uncle brings when he goes to work in the fields always contains a few liters of water in a bottle. Okay. It is true that everyone thinks that Su Yuntang's tea making method is very advanced, professional and stylish, but in fact, in their daily life, they basically use Gu Huiyan's method of making tea. When we usually drink tea, there is no concept that the water has to be thrown away the first time or that it is used to wash the cup and cannot be drunk. It's just that maybe Su Yuntang's style is too high, fans keep bragging about it, and no one has the nerve to say anything. Now, when Gu Huiyan asks Su Yuntang for tea in such a big cup in a face-riding way, everyone really can't hold it any longer. Gu Huiyan was like a bug in their hearts. How could he know everything they were thinking? Puff. Sister Xilin and Shang Xuoyan didn't hold back their laughter, and even Zhang Shuo looked at Gu Huiyan, a country bumpkin, in a strange and funny way. Are you telling me that you want to use the cup used to drink draft beer outside to brew Westlake Longjing? Are you kidding me? The actor Su Yuntang's mouth twitched crazily. He really didn't expect that Gu Huiyan didn't go out today, didn't wash his feet, didn't buy anything. You can actually do a lot of work with him. Just do it with nothing. He just wanted to ask, have I offended you? How much debt did I owe you in my previous life? You come here to disgust me. This is really an enemy. The actor Su is also a well-established person. Neither the steak incident nor the iced tea incident allowed him to break through his defense, and it certainly won't happen this time either. He just tried his best to maintain his gentle expression and asked Gu Huiyan, why do you have to use this? Don't we have tea here? Participating in a love show, this little guy is too down to earth. Author, Buletin Shi Swan Shi Shui Xian. Chapter 110. As the actor Su said, he even picked up the teapot and poured a cup into Gu Huiyan's empty cup. Oh, thank you. Gu Huiyan was so polite. He picked it up while saying thanks. He was not afraid of burning it. He blew on it and poured it into his mouth. The main reason is that the quantity is really small. How hot can it be? He scratched his head and answered Su Yuntang's words with a silly smile. It feels a bit little, not enough to drink. As soon as these words came out, puff. Ha ha ha. Made a lot of people laugh again. It is true that Su Yuntang's tea making technique is professional and the tea he makes is indeed delicious, but the quantity is too small. People pay attention to taste when drinking tea. Gu Huiyan is not that high class. He drinks tea to quench his thirst and drink it to his heart's content. There is so little in that teacup for anyone to drink. If the foreigner next door saw it, he would think he couldn't afford it. And there is another thing that he is embarrassed to say, that is, Su Yuntang is too slow. Hey, I really admire you, you old man, ha ha ha. At this time, many viewers started talking about the topic of practical on the barrage side. No harm, let's just say, if someone is dying of thirst and urgently needs tea, can I use Su Yuntang's method? Su Yuntang has many steps and very elegant postures, but he doesn't actually use them much. Didn't the old man say that the worse the grades, the more stationery he has? Haha, it took the time it took for Su Yuntang to brew the tea. I even peed twice. It's a lot of trouble to make tea. If it's so troublesome for me to make tea, I won't drink it. In fact, some people have long found it troublesome, just because many fans are embarrassed to talk about their style. Strictly speaking, there is nothing right or wrong about this matter. People are particular about tea ceremony, but this thing is not practical. In real life, many people simply don't have the opportunity to be fine-minded like this. You say you want to drink tea while you're at work. How can you get a tea tray and set of tea sets and sit at your workstation to brew it leisurely? Not to mention the boss's little shoes are for you to wear. If I don't slap you on the face, it'll be fine, okay? Chinese culture is always used to complicating simple things as so-called fastidious. What's funny is how high-end those fastidious people always make them, talking about people who make tea directly with cups. How low. What made everyone feel very gratified was that Gu Huiyan had the courage to drink tea in a normal and practical way in front of Su Yuntang, a discerning person. Kikik. Shang Xuoyan laughed so hard that she couldn't help but give Gu Huiyan a thumbs up and said, "Can you still drink it when you're full?" Gu Huiyan shrugged and didn't explain. In fact, he didn't think Su Yuntang's method of making tea was bad, but it might not be suitable for him. In terms of his habit, when drinking tea, he pays attention to drinking, while others pay attention to tea, with different emphasis. Wait a moment, just a moment. Although there were already tens of millions of grass and mud horses running wildly in his heart, the actor Su could still hold his nerve on his face. He didn't want to get into trouble with Gu Huayan anymore, so he just wanted to quickly give him some tea so that this country bumpkin could leave quickly. While thinking about it, he used a tong to pick out some tea leaves from the tea can and threw them into Gu Huayan's draft beer cup. God knows what Su Yuntang felt when he used a clamp to put a clamp into Gu Huayan's beer cup. It was as if his elegance and Gu Huayan's aesthetics of violence were intertwined, causing his heart to surge. It felt like drinking his Westlake Longjing from this cup was a waste of tea leaves. Okay, enough is enough, too much. It is worth mentioning that the actor Su may have expressed indignation at what Gu Huayan did, but he was really not stingy and threw a lot of tea into Gu Huayan's cup. Having said that, they who are tea tasters always seem to use a lot of tea leaves to make tea, and the tea they make is very strong, and Gu Huayan is really not used to drinking such strong tea. Pattering. Gu Huayan picked up the teapot on one side and filled his draft beer cup with water. When the tea leaves started to rise, he took the cup and ran to the sofa on the other side. People say you shouldn't drink the tea after the first pass. It seems that there are some unclean things in the tea leaves that were contaminated during processing. Strictly speaking, the first pass of water is to wash away those things. Su Yuntang's first pass of tea was also used to clean the cup. Gu Huayan didn't have that concept, and Su Yuntang and the others didn't want to remind him, because they felt that with Gu Huayan's nature, he would probably say that he was unclean and not sick at all. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x3. Gu Huayan's points are still increasing. Well. Su Yuntang silently held his forehead and sighed, saying that he and Gu Huayan were really incompatible. TIMI. Just in time. The guests were all drinking tea at Su Yuntang's tea table. Gu Huayan ran to the sofa on the side and opened the king. When the familiar prompt sound came, some viewers couldn't help but laugh. They also saw that Gu Huayan really loves the king. As long as he has nothing to do, he will go up and get points. He is also a talent. Nothing happened in the morning. Normally, the guests would have walked around and had fun. Unfortunately, they were all poisoned by fungi, and each one became weaker than the other. They could only rest in the small courtyard for a few days. Speaking of which, it has been a week since everyone came to record the show, and the only time to go out for fun was the morning when Gu Huayan and Pei Jingshu went to the ancient city. The rest of the time, either something happened, it rained, or I got poisoned by fungus. I just stayed in the small courtyard. Hey, Gu Huayan. Seeing Gu Huayan playing there alone and enjoying himself, and feeling that he really couldn't get involved in the conversation between Xilin, Su Yuntang, and Zhangshuo, Zhuoyan, the young horse merchant, simply approached Gu Huayan. It just so happened that Gu Huayan had just finished a ranked game. The so-called game understanding given by the system was something to say or not. Gu Huayan had won 5 consecutive games by killing all the way. Would you like to play together? Shang Zhuoyan sat next to Gu Huayan and asked Gu Huayan while holding the phone wrapped in a pink plush phone case. She was wearing a very pure pleated skirt today, and her dazzling white legs were placed naked next to Gu Huayan. To be honest, she is not suitable for the pure style, but who knows that it is a pleated skirt that is known as a versatile one. As long as the legs look good, a pleated skirt is perfect for everything. What rank are you in? Gu Huayan couldn't help but ask. King 15 stars. Shang Zhuoyan opened her mobile phone and showed it to Gu Huayan confidently. She winked at him and said, "Don't underestimate people." She had participated in an esports variety show on pesticide before, and had practiced for a period of time. Although she didn't have much time to play, it was not a problem to get the king rank every season. Gu Huayan's eyes lit up and he asked again. "Then what position do you play?" "Assistance." The little wild horse said with a smile. "I can play Cai Wenji, Xiaoming, and yes, Yeome. Hee hee. Gu Huiyan's expression was normal at first, but when he heard this, his expression changed on the spot, and he sneered and said, "Roll." Shang Xuan. Shang Xuan was confused at that time. "No, you asked me what I know how to play, and I answered you normally. What do you mean by telling me to get out?" Puff. Ha ha ha. The audience watching the show next door burst out laughing. "Gu Huiyan, you are just pretending to be me. How do you know that I hate these soft assistants? Ha ha ha, he is indeed a hero that girls like to play with." "No, what's wrong with girls? Isn't it okay for girls to play with Yeome? Do you look down on girls?" "Wrong. We don't hate girls. Some girls also play well. We hate all the bastards who play tricks." Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x5. The system sent a reminder in Gu Huiyan's mind. Gu Huiyan was quite surprised because this was really not his intention. This wave probably belonged to physiological reaction. There are always some leaders in the Kenyan who like to play soft assistants. They basically don't have to contribute anything and just want to follow others and win. This kind of people are collectively called bastards. They have no understanding of the game, no awareness, and they don't even know much about the skills and passives of the soft support hero they are playing. But when you scold it, it will explode on the spot with you. If you say you can't do it, why should you blame others? Why should you blame others? You, steamed shrimp heads. Yes, there may be more girls playing soft support heroes, but no one in the Kenyan really targets girls. In the game world, everyone relies on their strength and strives to gain points, so there is no one who doesn't want to win. Among the girls, there are also the kind of female Dharma kings and female wild kings who take the whole place flying. And the ones we discriminate against are never girls, but those bastards who don't have the strength to win but still love to do it. Normally, in the lower ranks, it's easy to say that you can just mess around. It's common for the stronger ones to bring one or two to the top. But everyone's understanding of the game is good when reaching high levels. Soft support heroes themselves are not popular, and the strength of heroes is very low. God knows how powerful it is when the opponent selects a hard support lineup to start a team and our team instantly locks a Yeome teammate. Collapse. Those who choose instantly without looking at the lineup are just like go 4 against 5. It's not like why your parents want to help you win. I owe you this in my previous life. This is also the reason why Gu Huiyan's face didn't change when Shang Xuan talked about his rank, but when he talked about the heroes he usually played, Gu Huiyan blurted out with a decisive "get out." Do you believe it when she says that Sun Bin's Huang, Zhou Gu Huiyan is not so heartless? Gu Huiyan. Shang Xuan was so angry with Gu Huiyan that she used a small fist to give Gu Huiyan a set of hair extensions and said, "Why are you scolding me?" Gu Huiyan said while dodging and moving, "Don't you have any idea in your mind?" Shang Xuan was so angry that she pressed down on Gu Huiyan and started beating her. Xilan and the others looked strange when they heard the sound. What was going on with these two people? Why did they start fighting while they were chatting? I don't care. You have to fight with me. Show me how to play. Xioma pouted her little mouth angrily and gave Gu Huiyan a big eye roll, looking domineering and overbearing. Okay. Scratching his head helplessly, Gu Huiyan thought that MD, this damn Yaezai, had actually materialized. If this is a casual scolding in the game, there is no way for people outside the game to refuse. No way. Gu Huiyan had no choice but to take Shang Xuan to play a few games. It is worth mentioning that Gu Huiyan's technique, consciousness, and understanding of the game were all online, and he almost mastered it. During this period, Shang Xuan kept shouting, "Oh! Wow! 4 kills! Wow, you are so awesome, Gu Huiyan! Are you so strong?" Gu Huiyan just waved his hand and said, Low profile. It made Shang Zuoyan giggle, and she felt so good lying down. After finishing the game, Shang Zuoyan just urged Gu Huiyan to play the next one. Suddenly. Ding dong. Gu Huiyan's cell phone received a notification tone. Battery low, 20% remaining. The phone is out of battery. Wait for me for a while. After saying hello to Shang Zuoyan, Gu Huiyan went upstairs. After a while, he came down from upstairs with the charger in his hand. There's no power strip here. Shang Zuoyan looked at the inside and outside of the sofa, and there was indeed no power strip. After all, this was a program recording site, and the program team would definitely not provide power strips for the sake of beauty. It doesn't matter. Gu Huiyan waved his hands calmly, and then in front of the camera, under Shang Zuoyan's eyes that looked unbelievable and unbelievable. Spread out the giant long data cable in your hand. Walk. Xiao Yema subconsciously almost exploded into national quintessence. She didn't even expect that Gu Huiyan's charging data cable was so long. What the hell is this? Many viewers couldn't stand it anymore, and everyone said, Gu Huiyan, where did you get so many weird things? Whose mobile phone charging data cable is so long? Ha ha ha, to be honest, I also dream of having such a long data cable. When I saw this charging data cable, which was probably 7 or 8 meters long, to be honest at that moment, not only Shang Zuoyan, but also Xilan, Su Yuntang, Zhang Shuo and the program staff there all had expressions on their faces. Confused. Why is your data cable so long? Zhang Shuo couldn't help but ask. This was really an eye-opener for him. Gu Huiyan calmly plugged in the charging socket on the wall, then arranged the data cables and returned to the sofa, answering casually. I use it when I'm lying on the sofa at home. It's convenient. In fact, the plug strips at home are generally not too long. If they are too long, it will affect the transmission and delay the charging speed. But if the line is not long, you are forced to adjust your posture. Many people are used to lying in the same position when lying on the sofa and playing with their mobile phones, such as the imperial concubine seat on the sofa. It is really comfortable there, but when the phone runs out of battery, they have to change positions, which is very hurtful. Gu Huiyan's charging cable can alleviate this drawback very well. With such a long charging cable, as long as there is a power strip, you can charge it anywhere on the sofa. 666. At this moment, countless viewers had to express their admiration for Gu Huiyan. Some people even said that they have been taught a lesson, and I will buy one later. Things like laying flat and salted fish, it still depends on you, Gu Huiyan, and Gu Lulu. Ding, the host has successfully grounded himself and gained exposure, and the points are at 91x5. The system beeps again. To be honest, although many people had not thought of Gu Huiyan's move and had not yet had time to do it, it was indeed very down to earth. In my impression, celebrity artists basically don't have the image of being arrogant, lazy, lying flat, and salty. They all have a very positive image in front of the audience. Do some exercise, go swimming. Anyway, it's about self-discipline. How to roll it? But Gu Huiyan is different. Gu Huiyan always teaches everyone how to be comfortable. This is why everyone likes Gu Huiyan. This kid really knows how to enjoy life. At this moment, in the footage of the Crystal Love Season program, Gu Huiyan is lying on the sofa with a 7 to 8 meter long data cable plugged into his mobile phone, occasionally taking a sip of tea from the beer mug on the table. Look at the painting styles of movie stars Su, Sister Xilan, and Zhang Shuo next door, chatting at the tea table. Look at him Gu Huiyan again? That is simply one sky and one earth. It is worth mentioning that after a while, Shang Zuoyan's phone ran out of battery and she borrowed Gu Huiyan's charging cable for a while. She found that this thing was really fragrant. One bite. I'll buy one later too. It caused a lot of laughter and laughter. Needless to say, Gu Huiyan is really laid back. This kid played games all morning. At noon, when the staff called them to have lunch, Gu Huiyan was still calling Shang Zuoyan. "Come here, sister, I'm out of blood. You gave the chain to the wrong person, give it to me. Why did you give it to that mage? I'll take you to play another game. I'm the dog's Shang Zuoyan." A bunch of people laughed like crazy. The guests were weak due to fungus poisoning, so lunch was prepared by the staff as usual. After lunch, Shang Zuoyan dragged Gu Huiyan to lead her to get a few points. Gu Huiyan said, "What points should I get at noon? Then I can't take a nap." I was so angry with Shang Zuoyan, saying that you just don't want to take me. Gu Huai was happy and said with a smile, "Have you finally figured it out?" The angry Shang Zuoyan wanted to fight Gu Huiyan desperately. To be honest, the two of them are really locked up as happy enemies. In the past 2 days, their android CP has gradually surpassed the meaning of Pei Ban takes care of CP. Noon. The staff are taking a break. Is this kid too idle? Watching from the machine that Gu Huiyan actually went upstairs to take a nap, Zhang Dan twitched the corner of his mouth and thought to himself, could he have forgotten about writing a song for Shang Zuoyan? In the afternoon, before recording, Zhang Dan specially reminded Gu Huiyan. Oh yes. Gu Huiyan had just woken up and had completely forgotten about this matter. Zhang Dan had black lines on his forehead, thinking to himself, how come this guy looks like a salted fish in his daily life off camera? During the afternoon recording, Sister Xylin and the others came out from their break and saw Gu Huiyan holding a computer and doing something there. At that time, my mature sister Xylin was quite curious. In my impression, Gu Huiyan didn't look like a serious person who was busy with work. Isn't Zhang Shuo's patent for this concave look of playing guitar and holding a computer while arranging music and accompaniment in front of the camera? When Zhang Shuo came down, he was also surprised. He thought to himself, how can this country bumpkin learn from me? It is worth mentioning that Zhang Shuo was holding a thermos cup in his hand with some wolfberry water soaked in it. Wasn't he too weak due to fungus poisoning? The assistant prepared some of this, which was a great supplement. What did you do? Shang Zuoyan looked curious and asked casually. A song for you. Gu Huiyan, who was working on this cheerful song, found it quite interesting. The more he wrote, the more he became certain that Shang Zuoyan was definitely suitable for this song, as if it was tailor-made for her. He even couldn't wait to sing a few lines to Shang Zuoyan. He grinned at Shang Zuoyan and said, "Trust me, you'll love it." Looking at his sly smile, Xiaoma Shang Zuoyan suddenly had a bad feeling. Guess what song it is? This song is indeed very suitable for Shang Zuoyan.